Chapter 388 Wuxia, you make a lot of sense, but I still want to take another look. Lin Yuan looked towards the two individuals, aware that they were also considering his well-being, and said calmly. Supreme Evolution Path. It is indeed attractive to Lin Yuan, but not as much as one might imagine. Compared to cultivating other supreme evolution paths that supreme beings have traversed, Lin Yuan is more eager to evolve the martial path evolutionary path to the level of a supreme being. Besides, the evolution paths contained within that segment of the body are simply too numerous, so plentiful that Lin Yuan feels panicked and dares not continue cultivating. In addition, Lin Yuan does not wish to lose the tempering of his psychic will pressure. Once he chooses to cultivate a certain evolution path, the pressure weighing upon his spirit will would reduce or even halt altogether. To Lin Yuan, the disadvantages outweigh the benefits. After all, the current main goal for Lin Yuan is to elevate his mental will index to above 10,000 points before stepping into the 8th layer. As for abandoning the martial path evolutionary path to cultivate an unknown evolution path, Lin Yuan doesn't entertain that idea for the time being. Although I don't plan to cultivate the evolution paths within that body segment, I can completely comprehend it and then analyze it, strip away the mysterious nuances of the rule understandings, and integrate them with the martial path evolutionary path, Lin Yuan thought to himself. This approach has two advantages. One is to maintain the pressure of the psychic will, ensuring the continuous tempering of his spirit will. Another is to deepen his understanding of the rules and continue perfecting the martial arts evolution system. The evolution paths within that segment of the body are likely flawed, but they must have their merits, otherwise, evolvers like Gao Wufeng and Wuxia Guang would not be so infatuated with them. As for that door to the supreme evolution path, Lin Yuan is rather indifferent to it. Time passed by. In the blink of an eye, a month had gone by. Lin Yuan was sitting cross-legged at the top of a mountain, constantly observing the phantom image of that body segment beneath the vast sky. Waves of invisible pressure descended upon him and murmurs resonated in Lin Yuan's ears, penetrating his spirit will and echoing within his soul. Lin Yuan's expression was solemn, as every moment his spirit will endured tremendous pressure. It is important to note that his physical and spiritual presence in this virtual world was at the standard first-rank evolver level, enduring the psychic will pressure solely through his own spirit will. It's getting harder to bear. Lin Yuan exhaled lightly. The invisible psychic will pressure, like numerous hammers, struck from all directions against his own spirit will and soul. But Lin Yuan did not give up. Places capable of directly targeting the spirit will were exceedingly rare, and this was a shortcut to reaching the 8th layer. Besides the tempering of his spirit will, Lin Yuan continued his analysis of the discovered evolution paths, never ceasing. Your insightful nature allows you to analyze the mysterious evolution paths, enhancing your gains in understanding. Your insightful nature allows you to analyze the mysterious evolution paths, enhancing your gains in understanding. Your insightful nature allows you to analyze the mysterious evolution paths, enhancing your gains in understanding. It must be said. That segment of the body, truly worthy of being from a supreme being outside the main world, offered evolution paths with principles and essences drastically different from those of human civilization. Though both are comprehension of the origin rule, the evolvers from human civilization perceive it from this direction. Whereas the owner of that body segment perceives it from a different direction. Yet the essence is the same, often giving Lin Yuan significant revelations. So the space rules can be interpreted like this. How wonderful, the explanation of the life rule is so comprehensible. The 5 elements rule, Lin Yuan absorbed everything like a sponge, relentlessly taking in all the analyzed insights. At the summit of another mountain peak, another evolver was also observing the phantom image of that body segment beneath the sky. The aura on his body gradually changed, becoming deeper and more profound, clearly cultivating the evolution path he perceived to its more advanced stages. I can feel that the path ahead is clear and open, but why is there always a sense, this evolver, a genius from a star domain, entered the 7th rank in his 90s and had an unlimited future. After deducing the evolution path from that section of the body, he began to cultivate with great excitement. The more he cultivated, the more he felt that he had made the right choice. That section of the body seemed to have been prepared specifically for him. Yet now, this evolver felt a sense of dread. The evolution path that I'm cultivating, there's a problem with it. On the surface, it looks perfect, but once you start cultivating, there's no turning back. This was the silent thought in the evolver's mind. What should I do? Stop cultivating. His brows furrowed tightly. It doesn't matter. This is an opportunity to become a supreme being, and even if there really is a problem, I have to solve it. I absolutely cannot give up. With his spirit firmed, the evolver once again fell into the depths of cultivation. The peak where Lin Yuan was located. Gao Wufeng suddenly opened his eyes, his aura turning profound, vaguely similar to that body beneath the firmament. Gao Wufeng opened his mouth. His cultivation had been going very smoothly, but as of late, he was feeling somewhat restless. Restless? This emotion, which would usually only appear in ordinary people, was showing up on him. It was utterly inconceivable. Heart demon, the terrifying thought surfaced in Gao Wufeng's mind. As a 7th rank king level peak, he was all too aware of the terror of a heart demon, a tribulation that could only be resisted by those with at least 10,000 mental will index. And now, only 1 or 2 months into cultivating the evolution skill from that body part, a heart demon was being invoked? No, I can't continue cultivating. Gao Wufeng swallowed hard. If he continued to cultivate, he feared he would directly face the heart demon tribulation. Although as a 7th rank peak evolver he was bound to confront the heart demon tribulation eventually, his current mental will index was not up to par. Facing the heart demon tribulation now, his chances of survival were slim. Above the firmament. Atop a high platform. Several figures stood, overlooking the many evolvers at the peaks of numerous mountains below. It's been over a month, it looks like some have realized the problem. The first man to reveal his vast silhouette and alert the many evolvers spoke indifferently. The paths of evolution contained within that body section, the vast majority are incorrect, they lead to dead ends, to doom. The second figure spoke calmly. The supreme beings had discovered this early on and thus, before contemplating, they issued a warning, forbidding the true bodies from cultivating the evolution paths deduced. By doing so, even if they were to end up in dead ends or doomed, it would only result in the collapse and destruction of the virtual bodies, while their true bodies in the outside world would remain unharmed. Of course, some dead ends and dooms targeted the spirit will, the tribulations of the heart demons, which depended upon the evolver's own choices. If they continued cultivating and invoked the heart demon tribulation and failed to overcome it, it would impact their real bodies. But if they did manage to get through it, they might continue on. Although most evolution paths are wrong, there are a few that lead to survival, and the supreme evolution path is even hidden among them. It all depends on whether they make the right choice. The third figure spoke. To greatly ensure the survival rate of these human prodigy evolvers, the supreme beings had made many preparations and even promised to intervene in the resurrection. I really envy them, unlike us, having set our foundations and lacking the chance to take such a gamble, even if we wanted to. The fourth figure spoke softly. Not every evolver has the courage to deduce the evolution path from that body segment, especially the 9th rank evolvers. They have spent incalculable efforts to finally reach the 9th rank, with their foundations already laid down, making it hard to start anew. From the 6th rank onwards, the soul of an evolver begins to integrate with their evolution path. At this level, there's still a possibility of switching evolution paths. The cost is dependent on the price paid and the new evolution path that has to be of a similar kind. But at the 9th rank, it's different. They could only switch to specific evolution paths, even if they wanted to change. Let's see now, how many are still cultivating smoothly. the first man to speak started observing each evolver below. When his gaze swept across the peak of a mountain, he showed a look of surprise. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 389. Atop the high platform, numerous figures turned their gaze simultaneously toward Lin Yuan. They were all 9th rank evolvers, more accurately, they were consciousness incarnations of 9th rank evolvers. At the same time, their consciousnesses had split into millions of streams, overseeing numerous newly opened virtual worlds, focusing on the various evolvers' enlightenment progress. The numerous evolutionary paths contained within that segmented torso were partly too strange, some even capable of affecting the true bodies in the external world. Therefore, at least an 8th layer zenith, or even 9th rank evolvers, needed to pay attention at all times. If any evolver took a wrong path and couldn't control themselves, these 9th rank evolvers could intervene. Experience Tales at Empire by Rights, this segment of a dead supreme being's body from another realm. Shouldn't have been made public so quickly, it harbored many dangers and pitfalls, and some genius evolvers could have fallen into them. Even with the separation by the virtual world, where external physical bodies weren't affected, the mind and spirit were unavoidably impacted. However, there was no other way. The controllers of this body segment weren't solely the human civilization. Other different species were involved too, including several peak clans such as the insect race. If the supreme beings didn't act this way and one of these peak clans gained control of this supreme evolution path, and resulted in the emergence of a new supreme being, it would indeed affect the situation on the battlefield. A single supreme being could completely disrupt the balance maintained by the current great peak clans. At that time, no one knew how much the Human Civilization Alliance would have to concede to maintain a new balance. That youngster hasn't cultivated any of the evolutionary paths he has comprehended so far. The first man expressed his surprise. It had been 1 or 2 months since the start, and generally, every evolver had been cultivating for some time. Once they began cultivating the evolutionary paths they had comprehended, their aura started to change, moving closer to that segment of the body. Yet Lin Yuan, up until now, showed no change in breadth, his strength remaining at the level of a first-rank evolver. I know this youngster. He's Chicken's little disciple, who stepped into the 7th rank before the age of 100, his talent is quite impressive. A figure next to the speaker also commented, equally observing Lin Yuan. To enter the 7th rank before the age of 100 without relying on physical constitution or bloodline, that's impressive, another figure added. As those who could become 9th rank evolvers were exceptional geniuses during their youth themselves, they understood well how difficult it was to reach the 7th rank before 100 years of age purely on one's own merit. Compared to those special life forms in the depths of space blessed with unique gifts, humans were far too weak. This weakness was comprehensive. Of course, what had allowed human civilization to develop up to this point was their numerical advantage, which, under the massive population base, would always give rise to some monstrous prodigies. Comparing with those special life forms. Such a genius must be able to comprehend an evolutionary path. Is he aware of the hidden dangers and therefore unwilling to cultivate? The final figure speculated. They didn't doubt Lin Yuan's comprehension ability, thus they believed he must be unwilling to cultivate. Unwilling to cultivate, what is he doing staying here? Refining his spirit will? That's also possible. For geniuses like this, living too short and seeing too little, their psychic will is always their weak point. Some tempering might be good for him. Not bad, this youngster can actually resist cultivating the evolutionary paths he has comprehended, the figures conversed softly. Upon comprehending an evolutionary path from that body segment, an evolver would be faced with an irresistible temptation, subconsciously believing that by cultivating this path, a future of unmatched brilliance awaited them. This was also an inherent power from that body segment, a power already greatly weakened. If they had faced the Bodhi's true form rather than a projection in the virtual world, even a 9th rank evolver would lack confidence in controlling themselves. Compared to other evolvers immersed in their cultivation, Lin Yuan was having a tougher time. As other evolvers began their cultivation, the psychic will pressure they were facing would reduce or even cease. But Lin Yuan was constantly under the suppression of psychic will. As if the suppression was not enough, Lin Yuan had to keep comprehending more evolutionary paths and analyze and understand them to integrate into the martial path evolutionary path. De Liang, Bai, whispers echoed in Lin Yuan's ears, emanating from that body segment, resonating within his psychic will, each word vibrating his soul. Lin Yuan could feel his spirit consciousness shaking, and it was this constant shaking that made his psychic will grow stronger. This strengthening was very slow, but at least Lin Yuan could feel it. Keep in mind that Lin Yuan's previous enhancements to his psychic will were imperceptible, so being able to sense this was already extremely remarkable. As time passed, something in Lin Yuan's psychic will seemed to break free from some shackle, and the whispering sounds near his ears suddenly disappeared. Has my psychic will undergone a transformation? A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. Previously, resisting the suppression on his psychic will had been quite difficult, but it suddenly became much easier. The only possibility was that the change was related to this aspect. However, this force targeting my psychic will keeps escalating. As long as I don't cease my contemplation or start cultivating a certain evolutionary path, the pressure will only grow heavier. It's as if Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. It's forcing me to cultivate some kind of evolutionary path, Lin Yuan thought to himself. But I want. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 390. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. During this period, he had comprehended a total of 137 evolutionary paths, fully analyzing them to only select and absorb the rule understandings that were beneficial to him. These 137 evolutionary paths had significantly advanced Lin Yuan's progress in his core space model, having deciphered 3 additional core space models. The martial path evolutionary paths had also grown increasingly complete. Let's rest for a while. After undergoing a psychic transformation, Lin Yuan felt a wave of fatigue and simply disconnected his consciousness from the virtual world, returning to reality. Has the rare treasures arrived? Upon receiving the message, Lin Yuan immediately got up. Not long ago, Lin Yuan had purchased several cosmic rare treasures to stabilize his inner world. The inner worlds opened up by evolvers are not permanent solutions, they require constant investment in later stages. This kind of investment includes some cosmic rare treasures. Some specific cosmic rare treasures contain origin power from certain rules, defending the inner world, and can perfect the world's rules. The conflict between 8th-layer evolvers mainly involves the clash of world powers. Without considering talent, secret techniques, or rule understanding, the one with more abundant and powerful world power will have the advantage. Lin Yuan walked out of the grand hall, gazing towards the sky. Before long, a cosmic spaceship descended. A staff member, carrying a briefcase, approached Lin Yuan. Here are your items. Shentong Group is at your service, the staff member, respectful in his approach, verified Lin Yuan's information and identity, then handed over the briefcase. Lin Yuan, holding the briefcase, returned to the grand hall. Cosmic rare treasures. Lin Yuan had purchased 3 parts of these cosmic rare treasures. They were primordial fire, essence of the earth, and formless wind. All 3 were classified as 8-star cosmic rare treasures, costing a total of 16,000 cubic universe crystals, averaging 5 to 6,000 per type. Keep in mind, a cubic universe crystal is worth 100 million cosmic coins, equivalent to 1 trillion civilization coins, meaning each type of cosmic rare treasures was worth 5 to 6,000 trillion civilization coins, a significant asset worthy of an entire constellation system. Moreover, Lin Yuan's ability to purchase these 3 cosmic rare treasures was solely reliant on his privilege as a 7th-level citizen. Those even slightly lower in their citizenship, despite their wealth, would not be able to make such purchases. I hope they won't disappoint me. Lin Yuan looked at the 3 cosmic rare treasures. Purchasing them had reduced his wealth by a quarter. Whoosh! Lin Yuan thought. His consciousness entered the inner world. The 3 cosmic rare treasures appeared there as well. Crack! The glass bottles containing the cosmic rare treasures shattered. First was the primordial fire, which ascended and formed a sun beneath the sky, filling the entire world with warmth and light. Then came the essence of the earth, merging directly into the ground. Indistinctly, Lin Yuan felt the world becoming significantly denser. Last was the formless wind, which vanished into the air, the breezes whispering softly. Not bad. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. If the inner world was previously barren, now it was barely brought to life. The power of the world has also grown significantly. A smile spread across Lin Yuan's face. Next time I encounter suitable cosmic rare treasures, I'll buy them. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Not every cosmic rare treasure is suitable for integration into an inner world. It depends on the specific circumstances of one's inner world. Read New Adventures at Empire. The 3 cosmic rare treasures Lin Yuan chose were exceptionally suited to his own inner world. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, half a year had gone by. Most of this time, Lin Yuan had been comprehending that segment of the body, enduring the suppression from the psychic will as well as analyzing various evolutionary paths. The 1325th core space model, Lin Yuan was in a cheerful mood. Half a year ago, just after his 6th traversal, Lin Yuan's understanding of the core space models had stalled at just before 1200. In such a short time, he had now deciphered over 100 more core space models. The evolutionary paths within that segment of the body had been undeniably crucial in aiding Lin Yuan. Aside from the core space models, I've also gained a lot of insight into the core life models, Lin Yuan thought to himself. The evolutionary paths within that segment were all-encompassing, and Lin Yuan had benefited tremendously from thoroughly analyzing each one. Lin Yuan seemed to have sensed something. His consciousness disconnected from the virtual world, and his mind entered deep into his brain. Have I already accumulated a strand of world-breaking origin force? Lin Yuan looked towards the majestic and grand door to the myriad realms. By now, the edge of this gate of light had been fully illuminated. This meant that he had a complete strand of world-breaking origin force and could undertake his 7th transit at any time. Let's wait a bit longer. Traveling through worlds doesn't always offer such favorable conditions for tempering the spirit will. Lin Yuan pondered for a while and decided not to transit just yet. As the mental will index was not up to standard and couldn't step into the 8th layer, even if Lin Yuan transited, his strength improvement would be limited, especially in the understanding of the space rules. Losing the continuous analysis of the evolutionary path inside that segment of the body he possessed, facing with the realm of 7th rank, he would forcefully perceive the subsequent core space model. Even Lin Yuan found this challenging. It was completely inefficient. Rather than doing so, it was better to pause the transits and fully devote himself to tempering the spirit will, so as to reach the 10,000-point mental will index sooner and talk about breaking through to the 8th layer afterward. After all, the world-breaking origin force wouldn't be wasted, it would just accumulate, waiting for Lin Yuan to use it later. Lin Yuan had never forgotten his purpose, which was to become stronger. If transiting could make him stronger, then he would transit. If pausing the transit could make him stronger, then he would pause the transit. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, another 2 years went by. During these 2 years, Lin Yuan spent most of his efforts on tempering his spirit will, and only secondary on analyzing the evolutionary path inherent in that segment of the body. Because the further he went, the stronger the suppression force on the spirit will would become, which in turn affected Lin Yuan's comprehending efficiency. Lin Yuan stopped observing the body segment below the vault of the heavens and let out a slight breath of relief. It was only during the observation of that body segment that he felt the suppression force on the spirit will, which would grow stronger as the observation time elapsed. And upon ceasing the observation, the suppression force on the spirit will disappeared. Over these years, my spirit will has transformed 3 times, Lin Yuan silently reflected. The first time was 2 years ago. The second time was 1 year and 2 months ago. The third time was just a few days ago. After these 3 transformations of the spirit will, Lin Yuan felt that his mental will index must have improved significantly. Let's go and see what my mental will index is now. Lin Yuan's consciousness disconnected from the virtual world and returned to reality. Let's rest for a while. Lin Yuan didn't immediately proceed with the test. The mental will index is not static, it fluctuates depending on the evolver's condition. Now that Lin Yuan had just finished contemplating that body segment and his mind was somewhat weary, conducting the measurement at this moment might lead to some errors and might not be accurate. Only in a state of mental perfection, measuring the mental will index would yield a relatively accurate result. Half a day later, Lin Yuan had rested sufficiently. All aspects had recovered to their peak. He then reconnected his consciousness to the virtual world. He entered his personal space. Goddess of Wisdom, I request a test of the mental will index. Lin Yuan applied to the Goddess of Wisdom. The mental will index of an evolver, being elusive, required one of the 3 goddesses to allocate some computational power to perform an accurate measurement. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, without utilizing any physical soul power, merely relying on your own spirit consciousness, impact the surroundings, the solemn and cool voice of the Goddess of Wisdom came through. Upon hearing this, Lin Yuan did as instructed. Boom boom boom. The terrifying psychic will pressure spread and filled in all directions. A moment later, the mental will index measurement was completed. How much? Lin Yuan's face showed a look of anticipation as he checked the result. The mental will index is 9234. A surge of joy welled up within Lin Yuan. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 391 The mental will index could reach more than 9,200. It was indeed beyond Lin Yuan's expectations. 2 or 3 years ago, when Lin Yuan first measured his mental will index, it was only 7,848. This mental will index of 7848 was the strength of spirit Lin Yuan had accumulated after experiencing 6 travels through time and more than 1,000 years. Now, just 2 or 3 years had passed, and it had increased by more than 1,000. It was truly inconceivable. As is well known, the higher the mental will index goes, the harder it becomes to increase. Lin Yuan's worst plan was to experience several more travels. Using the long duration of world travels to forcibly stack up his mental will index. However, that would basically waste the chances of travel because, below the 8th layer, understanding the rules would only get harder. In fact, considering Lin Yuan's current 7th rank status, the ability to understand the core space rule model was already unbelievable. Normally, only at the 8th rank do evolvers begin to comprehend the core space model. Moreover, the core space models Lin Yuan had understood already numbered over 1,300, a level many peak 8th rank evolvers could hardly reach. According to this pace, in at most 1 or 2 years, my mental will index could reach 10,000. Then, I can choose any world to traverse and try to undergo the heart demon tribulation, Lin Yuan silently thought. Once the heart demon tribulation was passed, nothing would obstruct Lin Yuan from stepping into the 8th rank. For an evolver to step into the 8th rank, 3 prerequisites need to be met. First, a high enough mental will index, ideally reaching 10,000 points. Second, the creation of an inner world, only then is the foundation laid for stepping into the 8th rank. Third is to refine the physical soul to the absolute peak of perfection of the 7th rank. The third prerequisite is similar to the first, requiring the evolver to consume a lot of time. After all, even at the 7th rank king level peak, it's still not considered complete perfection. There are minute details that need to be refined slowly. That process is very time-consuming. However, the third prerequisite, for Lin Yuan, was as if it was non-existent. Once the inner world is formed, the power of the world permeates his body, nurturing the physical soul and even the mental will. More than a year ago, Lin Yuan's physical soul had already achieved absolute perfection of the 7th rank without a single flaw. And with the continuous nourishment of the power of the world, Lin Yuan's physical soul was still slowly improving, pushing the boundaries of the great realm slowly. This is the power of the world, a unique force for evolvers of the 8th rank, especially since Lin Yuan's inner world had reached more than 100,000 miles in diameter, further perfected by 3 universes' rare treasures. The resulting power of the world was immensely beneficial to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan felt that even if he didn't undergo the heart demon tribulation, just relying on the nourishment of the world's power alone, he could one day reach the peak of the 8th rank, the ultimate 8th rank. Virtual world. Lin Yuan was seated cross-legged at the mountain peak. Quite a few people have been replaced. Lin Yuan glanced at the other mountain tops. Over these 2 or 3 years, many evolvers, due to practicing the evolution path discovered within that segment of the body, experienced physical collapse and withdrew from this round of comprehension. Consequently, many new talented evolvers joined. Many of the evolution paths contained within that segment of the body are dead ends. The Supreme Beings had long set the rules that once the practice fails, one cannot continue the comprehension for 100 years. Lin Yuan thought to himself. This was also for the good of many evolvers. Even though they were practicing in the virtual world, the evolution paths inside that segment of the body could still potentially affect them. This was part of a Supreme Being's body after all. Too many attempts could affect the true body, which could lead to serious issues. Our human civilization is already doing very well. For other groups without the isolation of a virtual world, those alien strong ones who comprehend would have to risk their lives. I wonder how many would die. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. So far, the virtual world was unique to human civilization, said to originate from the methods of a supreme being, a product of this particular supreme evolution path. Just as Lin Yuan was about to continue his cultivation refinement. Free web novel. Calm, Gao Wufeng is looking for me. Lin Yuan received a message. Gao Wufeng, the most favored disciple of the 9-sword Star Master, had engaged in conversation with Lin Yuan as soon as he entered this virtual world, and the two had a good relationship. Apart from Gao Wufeng, there was also Sui Qiuguang, who had the light elf bloodline. Gao Wufeng, Lin Yuan felt somewhat emotional. In these 2 or 3 years, countless evolvers had quietly withdrawn from the chance for comprehension. But likewise, a small number of evolvers shone brightly, continuing on the paths of evolution they had discovered. Gao Wufeng was one of them. The evolution path Gao Wufeng had discovered from that segment of the body was extremely special. It could even trigger the arrival of a heart demon. The arrival of a heart demon was no small matter. It was one of the few instances that could directly affect one's physical self in real life. Without sufficient preparation, facing the heart demon and perishing in the heart demon tribulation would mean not even a supreme being could resurrect them. Under normal circumstances, the best choice for Gao Wufeng would be to decisively give up this chance for comprehension. After all, it concerned his life. The supreme evolution path might be promising, but if one's life were lost, What good would more supreme evolution paths do? But Gao Wufeng did not choose to give up. Instead, he continued to refine his skills, adopting an almost maniacal attitude, welcoming the arrival of the heart demon. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 392. Finally, Gao Wufeng successfully passed the heart demon tribulation. As a result, his cultivation on the evolution path he had comprehended progressed smoothly, and he now stood at the forefront of all evolvers in terms of progress. The mental will index hasn't reached 10,000, and yet he actively faced the heart demon tribulation. His courage is commendable. Perhaps it's precisely because of this that he is in harmony with the evolution path he's cultivating, making everything else go smoothly afterward. Lin Yuan reflected privately. He wouldn't dare to do such a thing himself. Gao Wufeng was completely gambling with his own life. Now that he's passed, he's enjoying unlimited glory, but what if he hadn't? Who would still remember Gao Wufeng? Personal space. Gao Wufeng and Sui Qiuguang were sitting there. There were also a few other evolvers present. Essentially, they were all geniuses who were still advancing on the path of the evolution paths they had comprehended. Peak Master Shirsan has arrived. Upon seeing Lin Yuan, Gao Wufeng immediately greeted him. Peak Master Shirsan. Peak Master Shirsan. The other evolvers did the same. After all, Lin Yuan's reputation as a genius was indeed formidable, no evolver dared to take him lightly. Once Lin Yuan settled down, they resumed their conversation. Brother Gao, you must not be far from the 8th rank by now, Sui Qiuguang remarked, looking at Gao Wufeng with admiration. To forcibly overcome the heart demon tribulation, I admire your courage. Sui Qiuguang was very clear that if she were in Gao Wufeng's position, she would most likely not dare to continue cultivating. This time it was the heart demon tribulation I faced, next time, who knows what it will be, Gao Wufeng said humbly. In truth, Gao Wufeng was quite pleased with himself because he had bet correctly, and now his cultivation was going extremely smoothly. At this moment, Gao Wufeng even had a wild ambition. He believed the evolution path he was cultivating was the supreme evolution path left by the Supreme Being. Otherwise, how could he possibly be cultivating so smoothly now? I must have passed the test. Only by overcoming the heart demon tribulation and possessing an unstoppable mindset can one pass the test. Gao Wufeng was swept up by surging emotions. Right, Gao Wufeng's eyes shifted, looking at Lin Yuan, Peak Master Shirsan. How's your cultivation coming along? Haven't picked an evolution path to cultivate yet. It was no secret that Lin Yuan wasn't cultivating a comprehended evolution path. Right, I'm timid, afraid of making a mistake, Lin Yuan said. Timid? Gao Wufeng frowned. As a human evolver, one should be unstoppable and break through all obstacles. Just like how he faced the threat of the heart demon tribulation, he faced it head-on. Now hasn't he passed it and even gained great benefits? Peak Master Shirsan, I have to say this, sometimes, being timid isn't a virtue. With the virtual world acting as a barrier, even if something really goes wrong, you'd have the chance to start over. Why hesitate? Sometimes, if you don't seize the opportunity, it'll be difficult to grasp it later, Gao Wufeng couldn't help but advise Lin Yuan. Actually, I am also tempering my spirit will, Lin Yuan added. Tempering the spirit will? The other evolvers glanced at each other. They all felt Lin Yuan was being somewhat foolish. The spirit will could be gradually improved through many methods. Using the precious opportunity of comprehending a part of the Supreme Being's body to temper the spirit will. This was akin to trading a gem for a bead. Alright. Let's not talk about this. Gao Wufeng decided not to continue advising Lin Yuan. Strictly speaking, Qi and Lin Yuan were in a competitive relationship since the Supreme Evolution path could only accommodate one person to become a supreme being. Lin Yuan, a prodigy with even superior talent and aptitude, was giving up the opportunity to cultivate the evolution path and to become a supreme being because of his timidity. Gao Wufeng ought to be happy about that. I've called you all here this time because I want to discuss some questions encountered during cultivation, Gao Wufeng stated, as it was common for evolvers to exchange experiences, especially since they were all cultivating evolution paths learned from the same source. They chatted for half a day. Lin Yuan was listening at the side. I wonder if Peak Master Shirsan has any insights. Gao Wufeng still valued Lin Yuan's opinion. Even if Lin Yuan had not cultivated it, as a top genius, his knowledge and thoughts would surely have something out of the ordinary. Brother Gao, I think the evolution path you are cultivating now will likely have an impact on your spirit will later on. Lin Yuan paused for a moment before speaking. Influence my spirit will. Gao Wufeng pondered for a moment and replied, thanks for the reminder, Peak Master Shirsan. I understand. What did it matter if it influenced his spirit will? As long as he could become a supreme being, paying any price was worth it. Qikuan main star. Lin Yuan's consciousness returned to reality. Gao Wufeng must be in trouble now, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Based on the description by Gao Wufeng, Lin Yuan had also comprehended the evolution path in question and had analyzed it, finding that it was a huge pitfall later on. Initially, Lin Yuan wanted to remind Gao Wufeng. But seeing Gao Wufeng's dismissive attitude, he decided not to continue. Now, Gao Wufeng was immersed in his beautiful dream of becoming a supreme being, and nobody's words would be effective. Is becoming a supreme being really that easy? Just then, Lin Yuan's expression changed slightly. He looked up towards a certain direction. There was a fluctuation of the space force, opening up the inner world. Did Big Brother have a breakthrough to the 8th layer? Lin Yuan stepped out of the Great Hall, speculating in his mind. 2 or 3 years ago, after Big Brother returned from the battlefields of different races, he faced the killing intent of an 8th layer alien race and experienced the threat of life and death. At that time, Big Brother had deep insights, and after returning, he began to close off for retreat, not even participating in the comprehension of a supreme being's partial body this time. Whoosh! Lin Yuan flew to the front of the first peak. The other 11 disciples also arrived. They waited outside for Big Brother to complete his breakthrough. The fluctuations of the Space Force. From beginning to end, it was extremely stable. There shouldn't be any problem. After observing for a while, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Although Lin Yuan had not yet made a breakthrough to the 8th layer, he had the experience of opening up an inner world and knew that Big Brother was having a very smooth time opening his inner world now. The most difficult part for a 7th rank evolver to break through to the 8th rank evolver is to open up the inner world. Like Lin Yuan, whose inner world had reached more than 100,000 miles in circumference, and yet still stuck at the spirit will hurdle, it was indeed extremely rare. Mainly because Lin Yuan was too young and cultivated too quickly. A moment later, the spatial fluctuation stabilized. Big Brother's figure also swiftly flew out. Congratulations, Big Brother. Congratulations, Big Brother, for breaking through to the 8th layer. All the Peak Masters congratulated him in unison, and Big Brother was also all smiles. Come over, all of you. Suddenly, the voice of Qikuan Star Lord, the teacher, rang in the ears of Lin Yuan and the others. The teacher is calling us. Let's hurry over. It must be to praise Big Brother's breakthrough. I'm so envious. When can I break through to the 8th layer? Lin Yuan and the other Peak Masters flew towards the central main peak. The Crimson Great Hall. Qikuan Star Lord was seated high above. Big Brother and the other disciples stood on both sides. Well done. Chikuin Star Lord looked at Big Brother and nodded slightly. Thank you, teacher. Big Brother was overjoyed. Breaking through to the 8th layer, he was happy too, as this was the most critical stage for human evolvers. As an 8th rank evolver, one could dominate a star domain, become a Star Lord, and deter all directions. He could be called a grand official who sealed borders. How big is your inner world? Chikuin Star Lord asked after thinking for a moment. When evolvers open their inner world, as long as it is under 1,000 miles in circumference, they can actively suppress it without triggering a world's phantom. Teacher, my inner world is 220 miles in circumference, said Big Brother with an excited tone. Generally, evolvers who have newly advanced to the 8th layer have inner worlds of only 100 miles in circumference. For Big Brother to reach 220 miles in circumference, it was clearly much stronger than the average newly advanced 8th rank evolver. Just having reached the 8th layer, Big Brother already has an inner world of 220 miles in circumference. His potential is limitless. Big Brother, you must lead me in the future, give me some guidance. With such a large inner world, how strong must the derived world force be? The Peak Masters discussed among themselves with tones of admiration, full of envy. Especially the 2nd and 3rd disciples, they were also at the 7th rank, though they had not reached the peak of kingship level, they could also look forward to the 8th layer, and they were clear about how rare it was for Big Brother to open up an inner world of 220 miles in circumference. An inner world of 220 miles in circumference. Chikuin Star Lord glanced at the spirited Great Peak Master, then looked at Lin Yuan, quietly sitting there with a smile on his face. He said nothing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 393 Chapter 393, 11 Desperate Situation. Please subscribe. Chikuin Star Lord's thoughts were complex. His eldest disciple had entered the 8th layer, which should have been a cause for joy. After all, this was his first 8th layer disciple. But comparisons can bring fear. The eldest disciple entered the 8th layer, and his inner world reached a radius of 230 miles. That, compared to Lin Yuan's inner world of over 100,000 miles. And Lin Yuan was still only at the 7th rank. When he stepped into the 8th layer, his inner world would experience an explosive growth. The gap between them would only widen further. Looking at his eldest disciple's face full of joy, Chikuin Star Lord couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Indeed, sometimes ignorance is bliss. Alright, don't be too complacent. The path after the 8th layer is not easy. You need to collect various cosmic rare treasures, comprehend more rules, and perfect your inner world, Chikuin Star Lord said. As one who had been through it all, an invincible existence at the 8th layer, Chikuin Star Lord was fully qualified to say this. Even among those at the 8th layer, the disparity was huge. Take Chikuin Star Lord himself, for example, killing an ordinary 8th layer strong one was not much harder than chopping vegetables. On many medium-sized otherworldly battlefields, when Chikuin Star Lord revealed his true body, he would blot out the sky. With an open mouth and a mere inhalation, countless alien strong ones were swallowed. Then there was that member of the Heiyuan clan from 1,000,000 years ago, the invincible 8th layer Qingyu. With just a single soul attack, he pierced through 8th layer evolutionist Oin's myriad defenses, almost shattering his 8th layer soul defense treasure. Even so, Oin could not escape the fate of death. Understood, the Great Peak Master was startled and immediately refocused his thoughts. Indeed, for the entire human civilization and the 10,000 races of the cosmic starry skies, the 8th layer only qualified one to stand on the stage. That's good, Chikuin Star Lord nodded slightly. Although the Great Peak Master could not compare to Lin Yuan, he too hoped that his disciple could walk further on the path of evolution. Which star domain do you plan to preside over? Chikuin Star Lord looked at the Great Peak Master and asked. preside over a star domain. Below, Lin Yuan and many other star lords heard this and turned their gazes towards the eldest brother. The Human Civilization Alliance protects and shelters evolutionists below the 8th layer. There is hardly any compulsory mission order, even for going to the battlefields of different races, evolutionists apply to go voluntarily. Evolutionists below the 8th layer, as long as they don't actively seek trouble or violate the laws of human civilization, can live very comfortably. This might seem ordinary, but in the cosmic starry skies of other species, the weak are enslaved and driven. Where is there any freedom or comfort? But all this applies only to those below the 8th layer. Once evolutionists reach the 8th layer, they must fulfill their duties to human civilization. Specifically, that means choosing a star domain to reside over as a star lord for 500 years. After 500 years, 8th layer evolutionists can choose to continue or to step down. In short, evolutionists below the 8th layer are protected. At the 8th layer, they protect other citizens. Teacher, I haven't thought it through, the Great Peak Master said. Before his breakthrough to the 8th layer, the Great Peak Master did not even know if he could successfully step into the 8th layer. If he died under the heart demon tribulation, thinking more would be pointless. No matter, take your time to consider. Chikuan Star Lord was just asking casually, presiding over a star domain and serving as a Star Lord. Although it was the duty of an 8th layer evolutionist, it was not something that needed to be done immediately. There was time to adjust. After giving some advice, Lin Yuan and the others left one after another. At the first peak, 13 peak masters of the Red Kuan lineage gathered. By the way, eldest brother, while you were in seclusion to break through to the 8th layer, the supreme beings of human civilization brought out that body of an extraterrestrial being from a large battlefield. The third brother shared the recent events, emphasizing the section of the body from an extraterrestrial supreme being. I am aware of this, the eldest brother nodded. As long as his consciousness connected to the virtual world, he could understand most of it. Comprehending that section of an extraterrestrial supreme being's body was not a secret in human civilization, nearly all 6th rank and 7th rank evolvers knew it. Supreme beings did not intend to conceal the matter either because, ultimately, that body would be open to most human evolutionists. The other peak clans that obtained parts of the body would also do so. The few peak clans were competing, vying for the soul path toward the supreme tier of evolution. The teacher told me that the evolutionary path contained in that section of the body is very strange, and over the years, those evolvers who have comprehended the path have not been doing well in their cultivation, so I have decided not to comprehend that section of the body. The eldest brother shook his head. Whether to comprehend that section of the body is entirely up to the evolutionist, but with the opportunity of the supreme being's tier in front of them, hardly any evolutionist refuses. The eldest brother knew his own affairs. Having just broken through to the 8th layer, he needed a lot of time to stabilize his realm. At this time, to comprehend an unknown body was completely unnecessary. For the eldest brother, it was most important to first stabilize his own realm. By the time he did, many talented evolutionists would have already joined in. Competing with these talents who had a head start was nearly hopeless. Hence, the eldest brother chose to give up directly. That's wise, Lin Yuan thought to himself and nodded internally. Using his against heaven's understanding, he kept contemplating the many evolutionary paths within that section of the body and became more aware that almost all the comprehended paths had some degree of problems. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 394 Chapter 394, 11 Desperate Situation. Please subscribe. _2 The eldest disciple was steady and did not engage, at least not affected by that mutilated corpse. Virtual world. Lin Yuan was still sitting at the peak of the mountain. At this moment, atop the many peaks of this virtual world, evolvers still filled the seats. However, in reality, nearly 99% of the evolvers had been replaced once, with most being newcomers. Lin Yuan observed the torso below the heavens, his spirit constantly suppressed while also contemplating the evolution paths contained within that torso. I have now comprehended 2,837 evolution paths and have fully analyzed and integrated these evolution paths into myself, but compared to the myriad evolution paths within this torso, it is but a drop in the ocean. Lin Yuan's expression was one of astonishment. High-rank evolvers indeed practiced many evolution paths, but this Bodhis owner practiced far too many. Moreover, these evolution paths are rather sinister, Lin Yuan thought to himself, especially the psychical pressure that forced evolvers to quickly choose an evolution path to cultivate. Anyway, I am not cultivating, just comprehending, so it shouldn't affect me. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts. It's like a medical prescription, no one knows what effects the medicine brewed from it will have. To understand it, one must drink the medicine, but Lin Yuan had no intention of doing so, he was only contemplating the prescription, so naturally, there wouldn't be any problems. The 2,837th evolution path, Lin Yuan's expression shifted as he grasped another evolutionary path from that torso. Kill, kill, kill. Everything born is meant to be killed. At the moment he comprehended this evolution path, Lin Yuan felt overwhelming murderous intent. At the same time, he felt a desire to immediately immerse himself in the cultivation of this path. Lin Yuan ceased his contemplation, the suppression from the psychic will ceased, and the sounds of slaughter that lingered around him also gradually faded. If another evolver had comprehended this evolution path, they might have started cultivating it immediately, right? They would then be affected by the massive murderous intent and thoughts within, and it's likely their true body in the outside world would turn into a lunatic who only knows slaughter. Lin Yuan silently thought to himself, this wasn't his first encounter with such a phenomenon where merely comprehending some evolution paths had begun to influence him without even cultivating them. From this, Lin Yuan set a restriction for himself. If the body in the virtual world began to cultivate, he would instantly sever the connection, returning his consciousness to his original body. That way, at least the influence would be cut off. Continue. Lin Yuan rested for a while, then began to analyze this path of slaughter evolution. Not far from Lin Yuan, Gao Wufeng was also meditating cross-legged. Cultivating the evolutionary paths contained within the body, observing the torso under the heavens simultaneously could terrifyingly enhance the speed of cultivation. While Gao Wufeng continued his cultivation. Gao Wufeng's consciousness quietly began to descend. Where is this? Gao Wufeng opened his eyes, looking around warily. But he received no reply. In all directions, there was nothing but whiteness. Initially, Gao Wufeng, cautious, did not act rashly. But as time went by, 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years. Gao Wufeng's expression subtly turned frantic. In this endless white space, without any rules disturbances, he had no way to cultivate. Gao Wufeng could only watch time slowly pass. After 20,000 years, Gao Wufeng completely lost control and went mad, striking out in all directions. Although many evolvers might spend decades or even centuries in seclusion, that would be immersed in cultivation. Perceiving the fluctuations of rules, experiencing the great Tao of the world and engrossed in it, time would pass very quickly. But in this white space, where Gao Wufeng found himself, with no rules fluctuations and without the ability to fall into slumber, he could only watch as time passed by. Being able to withstand 20,000 years was already a result of Gao Wufeng's extremely strong spirit will. If another evolver took place, they probably would have begun to go insane within less than 10,000 years. Another 50,000 years passed. Where exactly is this? Who am I? Am I called Gao Wufeng? I come from human civilization, but where are all the others? I remember having a teacher, right, a trial, I remember I was comprehending that severed body, but how did I end up here? Gao Wufeng grew mentally agitated. 100,000 years later. Gao Wufeng looked up into the sky, which was still a vast expanse of white. Crack. Darkness flashed through Gao Wufeng's eyes. The spirit will began to fade, a fading that was deliberate, in other words, something done by Gao Wufeng himself, having lost the will to continue living. Outside. For Gao Wufeng, the tens of thousands of years experienced in the white expanse. But in the outside world, only a few breaths had passed. Gao Wufeng's body began to collapse, and his psychic will began to fade as well. Brother Gao. Lin Yuan immediately noticed the change, stopped observing, and looked towards Gao Wufeng. He wasn't far from Gao Wufeng and noticed the anomaly immediately. Did the cultivation fail? Didn't make it through this time. Lin Yuan sighed, recalling how Gao Wufeng had previously faced the heart demon and forcibly survived, resulting in significant progress in his cultivation afterward. But now, it seemed he had encountered a similar crisis with the heart demon, unfortunately not surviving this time. Over the years, Lin Yuan had seen many such cases already, some evolvers cultivating when suddenly their physical bodies collapsed, and their consciousnesses dissipated. I wonder if it has affected the true body in the outside world. Lin Yuan thought to himself that if it was only the physical soul collapsing within the virtual world, it wasn't a significant issue as long as the physical soul in the real world did not encounter any problems. An hour later. Sui Qiuguang walked over. Brother Gao nearly caused a massacre in the Nine-Sword Star domain. If it were not for the timely intervention by the Nine-Sword Star Master, who knows, Sui Qiuguang directly said, as she had a good relationship with Gao Wufeng and often kept in touch. After learning of Gao Wufeng's incident, she immediately went to investigate the happenings in the Nine-Sword Star domain. Brother Gao's spirit will must have encountered some issue. Fortunately, with the timely suppression by the Nine-Sword Star Master and the aid of some cosmic rare treasures for healing the mind, future problems should be manageable. Sui Qiuguang's tone inadvertently revealed a hint of fear. Just yesterday, Gao Wufeng was still sharing insights with her, appearing entirely normal. Yet today, he seemed utterly insane. If the Nine-Sword Star Master hadn't intervened in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. This body, Sui Qiuguang looked up towards the severed body under the sky. She initially thought it was a great opportunity, her chance to become a supreme being. However, as time passed, Sui Qiuguang witnessed, one by one, geniuses walking towards dead ends. Many of these evolver geniuses were not much inferior to her, yet they still didn't make it through. This body, there's a significant problem. It's definitely not just about comprehending the evolution path. Sui Qiuguang muttered to herself, I might not be able to carry on either, Shursan Peak Master. Sometimes I envy you, not having taken up the self-researched evolution path on your own. Right now, the thought of not cultivating seems so difficult. Once one chooses to cultivate the evolution path contained within this body, there's no turning back, unless one chooses not to enter this virtual world, for as long as one continues to study that severed body, the evolution path within will do the cultivation on its own. Can't carry on. Lin Yuan looked towards Sui Qiuguang. Although I haven't gone mad, the more I cultivate, I occasionally fall into some illusionary realms, and sometimes I don't even realize, Sui Qiuguang said. She didn't originally see these as issues, until she saw the nearly mad Gao Wufeng. Sui Qiuguang was worried that one day, she too might become like Gao Wufeng. That indeed calls for a stop. Lin Yuan nodded. According to Sui Qiuguang's description, if she continued to cultivate, big problems likely awaited, not very different from Gao Wufeng's fate. Funny when you think about it. Initially among the three of us, both Brother Gao and I were full of fervor and ambition, determined to master that path of the supreme evolution. Yet, both of us have left the scene, while you, Shursan Peak Master, are still persisting. Sui Qiuguang sighed, her figure disappeared, leaving the virtual world. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 395. Zhuo Qiwang's words carried a hint of self-mockery. Once upon a time, she, along with Gao Wufeng and several other evolvers, had somewhat looked down upon Lin Yuan's timid actions. They believed that on the path of evolution, pressing forward relentlessly was the correct approach. For instance, Gao Wufeng had forcefully attempted to transcend the heart demon tribulation. But now, Gao Wufeng had nearly gone insane. She also decided to give up proactively. The other evolvers had one after another failed in their cultivation during this period. The small group from the beginning, now only Lin Yuan was still persevering. Judging from the results, the few of them had gained nothing over these years. And because the cultivation involved paths from the evolution path, their psychic wills were all affected to a certain extent. Frobnov. Calm. Even though it wasn't as serious as Gao Wufeng's situation, they would still need a significant amount of time and resources to recover. Meanwhile, Lin Yuan sought only to use psychic will pressure to temper his own spirit will. Looking at it now, he seemed to have reaped substantial benefits. Although, in the views of Zhuo Qiwang and the others, tempering one's spirit will was not considered a difficult task. But at least compared to themselves, Lin Yuan was not only unharmed, he had also gained. Before and after, made a stark contrast. I just chose not to cultivate, Lin Yuan sighed. Indeed, saying not to cultivate sounds simple, but doing so is exceedingly difficult when the supreme evolution path lies right before you. Who could resist not cultivating? With delicacies on the table, could you bear to only eat plain rice? Lin Yuan could control himself because he possessed against heaven's understanding and the door to the myriad realms, believing that he could find a way to become a supreme being without relying on that physical body. But others did not have this capability. Even the descendants of supreme beings, faced with such an opportunity, must contend. No wonder the rules set by the supreme beings involve different batches of evolvers, coming in to comprehend, rather than all at once, Lin Yuan thought to himself. If it were all at once, a collective issue could significantly impact all of human civilization. Even if the ones comprehending that body were mainly 7th-rank evolvers, such a level of evolvers disappearing suddenly in large numbers could easily cause disturbances. Whereas, coming in batches, this problem doesn't arise. If there's a problem with this batch, just temporarily close off that body. Wait until most are healed, then reopen it step by step. The deeper the cultivation in the evolution path contained within that body, the greater the impact on oneself, especially if the cultivation fails. Lin Yuan glanced at that segment of the body beneath the heavens. If the cultivation failed just at the beginning, chances are, the impact would be minimal, at most needing some time for recovery. But like Gao Wufeng, who after achieving some success, failed again in further cultivation, that isn't just a matter of recovering over a period of time. That's why Zhuo Qiwang chose to give up proactively, considering it was better to quit now than to be forced to later after a failed cultivation, which would come at a much higher cost. Gao Wufeng was the example. If the path of evolution I cultivated, using against heaven's understanding, potentially allowed me to go far, far beyond Gao Wufeng, but once it failed, the cost would be devastating. Lin Yuan shivered involuntarily. I must not cultivate. I must even be extremely cautious in comprehending. Lin Yuan furrowed his brows slightly, thinking to himself. On Qikuan main star, Lin Yuan disconnected his consciousness from the virtual world, planning to rest for a while. World-breaking origin force, Lin Yuan's spirit moved to the depths of his mind, gazing at the majestic door to the myriad realms. At the same time, Lin Yuan began to receive multiple bits of information transmitted from the door to the myriad realms. 5 strands of world-breaking origin force. A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. Over the past few years, he had not traversed it all, instead focusing on comprehending that body and tempering his spirit will, and unknowingly, had accumulated 5 strands of world-breaking origin force. If it weren't for Yin God constantly being on the battlefields of different races, the current world-breaking origin force would be, at most, 3 or 4 strands. Lin Yuan looked upwards, towards a direction he had chosen, a battlefield of different races designated for the Taiyin primordial spirit to stay under that eternal spatial rift, to accelerate the accumulation of world-breaking origin force. 5 strands of world-breaking origin force allow for 5 traversals, but these 5 traversals are random, unable to select the scope and level of the worlds, Lin Yuan pondered. Random traversal made Lin Yuan uneasy. What if he traversed to a low-tier world like the first time, unable to even recover to his peak strength, let alone grow stronger? Wouldn't that waste a traversal opportunity? If I don't engage in random traversal, I currently have 2 options. Lin Yuan stroked his chin. One option was to head to the spirit realm. This was a coordinate regarding the spirit realm that Lin Yuan captured during his 5th traversal in the central divine China world. With the coordinates, Lin Yuan could spend 10 strands of world-breaking origin force and arrive in the spirit realm unnoticed. Given the spirit realm's level, it would be sufficient for Lin Yuan to cultivate for a long stretch, at least up to the 8th layer, even not worrying about the 9th stage. The second option was to deeply develop the Tianqing world, more accurately, the outer void of the Tianqing world, where evil gods swarmed. Even some legendary evil gods at the 9th stage had established strongholds. Of course, there was a third option. That was to expend 100 strands of world-breaking origin force. Customize the world being traversed to. Customize, as in completely according to Lin Yuan's requirements. For example, if Lin Yuan wanted to traverse to a primordial great world, he could directly customize that, then traverse. Similarly, if Lin Yuan wanted to specify the scope and level of the world being traversed to, he could also customize that. Of course, custom traversal starts from 100 strands of world-breaking origin force. If the custom world is special, the consumption would be even greater. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 396. But overall, as long as the world-breaking origin force is sufficient, Lin Yuan can travel to any world, with neither dimensions nor realms able to stop him. Tianqing world. Thinking of Tianqing world, Lin Yuan planned to receive the information coming from it. Within his 6 travels, the one to Tianqing world was definitely the deepest he had mastered, even replacing the world consciousness. With the ancestral demon tree in charge of the heavenly Tao, Lin Yuan could barely receive information from Tianqing world through the world coordinate mark of the door to the myriad realms. So much has happened over these years. Lin Yuan focused his mind on the world coordinate mark of Tianqing world. Suddenly, a massive amount of information from the ancestral demon tree flooded into his mind. Only a few years had passed in the main world since the end of his 6th travel. However, for Tianqing world, due to the difference in the flow of time, thousands of years had elapsed. During these thousands of years, the beings of Tianqing world had been doing fine, but those several foreign evil gods had repeatedly made proactive approaches, wanting to contact Lin Yuan. Yet they were all sent away by the ancestral demon tree following Lin Yuan's instructions. Those several foreign evil gods, Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. He had sensed something off about those foreign evil gods back then. They actually wanted to invite him to explore some void secret realm. As long as the ancestral demon tree is seated within the world, there is nothing to fear. Lin Yuan was unconcerned. With the world tree of the ancestors having become the heavenly Tao of Tianqing world, it was not to be compared with the original world consciousness, wielding the overwhelming force of the world. Even if 10 foreign evil gods attacked, the ancestral demon tree would be able to withstand them. Time passed on. Another year went by. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged at the top of a mountain, observing the body beneath the vault of the sky. Your understanding is against heaven. Observing the mysterious body, you have deduced the 3331st evolution path. the 3331st evolution path. Lin Yuan's eyes brightened slightly, and he immediately began to analyze this evolution path. This is called an evolution path, and it's related to time. The combination of time and space. The essence of time-space. Lin Yuan was amazed. The rule of time, like the space rules and the law of life, is one of the pillar rules of the main world. However, compared to the space rules and the law of life, the rule of time is much harder to understand. To fully comprehend the entire rule of time is something only a supreme being can achieve. The resurrection ability of a supreme being relies on reversing time-space, which requires complete mastery of the rule of time, breaking free from the constraints of the river of time, flowing against it to resurrect a person from a past time. Of course, the essential nature of life of the resurrected person must reach a certain level, otherwise, if the life essence is too weak, even a supreme being flowing against the current cannot fish it out to place it on the current timeline. The rule of time, Lin Yuan contemplated closely. Time is intangible and ubiquitous, yet incredibly difficult to understand, especially since Lin Yuan was only at the 7th rank. The level was too low, even with against heaven's understanding, the benefits were minimal. Forget it. I'll contemplate it after reaching the 8th layer. Now, I'll concentrate fully on understanding the space rules. Only with a deep enough understanding of the space rules can I better understand the rule of time. Lin Yuan gave up on the contemplation of the rule of time, as it was too unprofitable for him. Time slowly drifted on. More and more human evolution geniuses entered the virtual world to understand that body. These evolver geniuses, being latecomers, knew the outcomes of the first evolvers who contemplated that body. But not a single evolver gave up, since being known as an evolution genius, they all were extremely confident, believing that what others couldn't do, they definitely could. I am of the ethereal body, and even the goddess of wisdom has taken notice of me, hiding and protecting my information. I will definitely deduce the supreme evolution path. In one virtual world, a youngster sat on top of a mountain, looking up at the body beneath the firmament. Several months later. Who am I? Where am I? What should I be doing right now? This youngster looked bewildered as his body exploded with a bang. This is the supreme evolution path, and I have reached the pinnacle of the 8th layer, barely having any hope of stepping into the 9th rank, not even possibly achieving invincibility at the 8th layer. Rather than that, I might as well take the risk, abandon everything, and contemplate that body. If successful, I will receive the nurturing of the entire human civilization. An ancient-looking old man made a decision in his heart. He then applied to the goddess of wisdom for a chance to contemplate that body. A year later. The ancient-looking old man sat at the top of a mountain. Looking at the body under the expanse of the sky, his expression was extremely solemn. Something's not right. This body is not right. The evolution path I cultivate is not right. This ancient-looking old man kept recalling something, feeling that a chunk of his memory was beginning to be missing. And this sign even had a tendency to spread. This body is too demoniac. Why would a supreme being release such an uncontrollable thing? The ancient-looking old man steadied his spirit and decided to give up contemplating. If he continued to contemplate and practice, he felt that all his memories would be wiped clean. At that moment, would he become a puppet without any memories? This body I now have is a special life form that was recently seized. Its talent is far superior to humans, and with it to understand that body, the process should be more effective. A green-skinned man with dragon horns on his forehead smiled. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 397 on the topic of innate talent. Humans can never surpass those special beings in the depths of space. Of course, when it comes to falling short, we're talking about entire clans. If we consider individuals, given the population base of human civilization, every so often there emerge some monstrous prodigies who are not the least bit inferior to those special beings. However, among the clans of special beings, geniuses and prodigies are also born. And this dragon-horned, green-skinned man, his seizure target was a genius from one of those special being clans. His comprehension of various rules was extremely terrifying, with robust vitality, an unmatched physical body, truly formidable. In his quest to comprehend the supreme evolution path, this dragon-horned, green-skinned man had paid a steep price. Capturing such a special being genius alive was no easy task. 1.5 years later, the dragon-horned, green-skinned man looked terrible, with layers of vague shadows shrouding his consciousness. Is this a heart demon? Damn it, wasn't it said that only an extremely small number of evolution paths would bring forth a heart demon? The dragon-horned, green-skinned man exhaled gently. He was already an 8th-layer evolver with a mental will index exceeding 10,000 points. For him, surviving a heart demon tribulation again was not difficult. No, this is the 9 layers heart demon tribulation. A moment later, the dragon-horned, green-skinned man let out a mournful howl. There are simply too many geniuses in human civilization. Lin Yuan sat on the mountaintop, watching batch after batch of human prodigious evolvers come in. These evolvers, perhaps in terms of comprehension, were far inferior to Lin Yuan, but in other areas, such as constitution, bloodline, soul, and so on, they each had their unique strengths. This was only the virtual world Lin Yuan was in. Besides this virtual world, there were countless others, each allowing for the comprehension of that segment of the body. Pity, they all failed. So far, not one of the geniuses attempting to feel that body has found the supreme evolution path. Lin Yuan silently pondered. Perhaps, the supreme beings were wrong. Inside this segment of the body, there's no such thing as the supreme evolution path. Or maybe, the body that contains the supreme evolution path isn't this segment, but rather on a body held by other peak clans. Lin Yuan speculated. But what does that have to do with me? I had no expectation of comprehending that supreme evolution path at all. I'm already quite satisfied just by contemplating and analyzing the common evolution paths contained within the body. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and continued to observe the segment of the body under the vault of heaven. Your comprehension is against nature. Observing the mysterious corpse, you've comprehended the 3333rd evolution path. Time passed unnoticed. Lin Yuan once again comprehended a new evolution path. Counting from the first evolution path he had comprehended to the current one, Lin Yuan had now realized 3333 evolution paths. Analysis. A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. However, before Lin Yuan could conduct an analysis on this new evolution path, boom. Within Lin Yuan's memory, the 3332nd evolution path he had previously comprehended, and this 3333rd evolution path, unexpectedly triggered some sort of mutation. In an indistinct manner, the 3333 evolution paths formed a 9 floors dark tower mark, merging deep into his soul. Lin Yuan was startled in his heart. The next moment, the murmuring sound exerting psychical pressure from that segment of the body, which had been causing Lin Yuan a great deal of stress, suddenly became clear. Comprehending 3333 evolution paths, forming the magic jade mark, automatically becomes a regular member of the magic jade tower. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 398, Magic Jade Tower Ordinary Member. Magic Jade Tower. Lin Yuan was shocked in his heart. Had he joined the Magic Jade Tower without realizing it? To fully comprehend all 3333 evolution paths, Lin Yuan found it inconceivable. He had merely comprehended them, without actually cultivating any. How could the other party be aware that he had done so? Magic Jade Tower, Lin Yuan's thoughts fluctuated. At the level he was currently at, he was somewhat familiar with the famous clans and powers of the main world. Even if he didn't fully understand them, he definitely had heard of them to some extent. However, before today, he had never heard of the three words Magic Jade Tower. Could it be related to the owner of this segment of the body, a power from outside the main world? Lin Yuan silently mused to himself. To become an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower, one must comprehend all 3,333 evolution paths contained within that segment of the body. It was easy to associate this body segment with the Magic Jade Tower. Such a method, Lin Yuan admired in his heart. He had originally thought that the greatest fortune of this corpse, over which several supreme beings fought and killed each other to snatch, was that supreme evolution path. But now it seemed that becoming a member of the Magic Jade Tower was the ultimate benefit. Magic Jade Tower. Why is demon part of its name? The clear murmur Lin Yuan had heard was not in any language he knew, yet he was able to inexplicably understand its meaning. And the name Magic Jade Tower didn't seem to denote any sort of positive force. Also, if the Supreme Being's corpse that drifted in from the eternal spatial rift was related to the Magic Jade Tower, why was it dead? Many questions flickered through Lin Yuan's mind. Magic Jade Mark, Lin Yuan began to carefully observe his soul. After understanding all 3,333 evolution paths, these paths underwent a bizarre transformation, condensing into what is called the Magic Jade Mark, which automatically made Lin Yuan an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower. So, that Magic Jade Mark must be the key. Lin Yuan recalled that in the end, this mark had merged into the depths of his soul. Found it. Lin Yuan quickly located a 9 floors dark tower mark in the depths of his soul. When Lin Yuan's consciousness merged with this mark, he immediately received a vast amount of information. So that's how it is, Lin Yuan appeared to be in deep thought. There were two ways to become a member of the Magic Jade Tower. The first method was to cultivate any one of the comprehended evolution paths. Each evolution path contained within that body segment had its massive defects and hidden dangers. Cultivating it and completely compensating for its defects, overcoming countless difficulties, one could automatically become an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower. The second method was to follow Lin Yuan's approach, where, without cultivating, simply comprehending all 3,333 evolution paths would trigger a certain threshold, condensing the Magic Jade Mark and automatically granting membership to the Magic Jade Tower. These two approaches mainly comprised two types of tests. The former tested whether an evolver could overcome numerous difficulties when faced with a thorny path and eventually reach the end. The latter tested the evolver's comprehension abilities and spirit will. You should know that only by comprehending, without cultivating, one would continue to face pressure on their spirit will. To still be able to comprehend all 3,333 evolution paths under such conditions, and if the time consumed did not exceed 100,000 years, then the comprehension ability of the individual could be described as terrifying. The Magic Jade Tower would very much welcome such evolvers to join. Read novel. The owner of this body segment must have been a supreme being from the Magic Jade Tower. It's just unknown for what reason he fell, and his physical body carried so many faulty evolution paths of the Magic Jade Tower. Perhaps carrying isn't the right word, rather this supreme being had been cultivating them himself, that's why we could comprehend them, Lin Yuan deduced in his heart. And there's this Magic Jade Mark. With the help of this mark, Lin Yuan faintly sensed a mysterious space. This mysterious space was not in the main world, and the Magic Jade Mark was like a key, allowing Lin Yuan entrance whenever he wished. At the same time, Lin Yuan received a warning. Do not venture into the Demon Jade space until you reach the 8th layer limit. Demon Jade space. One has to reach the 8th layer limit to go in. Lin Yuan thought to himself that although his inner world had reached over 100,000 miles in radius and could be said to be not much weaker than an 8th layer limit evolver, who knew what the demon jade space tested? What if it wasn't the inner world? Therefore, even though Lin Yuan was extremely curious about the demon jade space, he also felt that he should obediently wait until reaching the 8th layer limit before considering exploration. Considering Lin Yuan's cultivation speed, reaching the 8th layer limit wouldn't take too long anyway. Condensing the magic jade mark did not attract the attention of others. Lin Yuan opened his eyes and looked around, noting that the other evolvers were still diligently comprehending that segment of the body. From time to time, some evolvers' bodies collapsed, and soon new evolvers replaced them. Can I continue to comprehend? Lin Yuan looked towards the body segment and discovered it was still challenging them to comprehend more evolution paths. I can feel that my speed of comprehension has increased, and my spirit will has also improved to a certain degree. Is it because of that magic jade mark? Lin Yuan thought to himself. The magic jade mark did not merely act as a key, but it also stabilized Lin Yuan's soul or even his spirit will, akin to a say-calming divine needle, almost equivalent to having an 8th layer soul defense type treasure to guard it. This is too incredible. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. A mere mark could achieve the effects of an 8th layer soul defense treasure. The origins of the magic jade tower were definitely beyond imagination. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 399 Sanglan Star Virtual World. Lin Yuan's figure emerged, looking at his parents and sister. Brother, Lin Yi said, you haven't seen us in such a long time, Mom and Dad always talk about you. Lin Yuan glanced at his parents and said apologetically, I've been a bit busy recently. Most of Lin Yuan's time had been spent contemplating that body part, resulting in almost a year or two without seeing his family. It's alright, Xiao Yuan, you're now the peak master of the 13 peaks in the Qikuan star domain. Being busy is normal, his mother Lu Qiong said, shaking her head. At most, she would just mention Lin Yuan a few extra times. Naturally, she wouldn't delay his matters. The family of four then sat down and chatted casually. Although Lin Yuan held a high status, his relationship with his parents and sister was exceptionally close, and he had intentionally suppressed his aura. Moreover, in the virtual world, his parents and sister didn't feel any discomfort. What level is this martial arts tournament? There are hardly any third-rank evolvers. It's far inferior to the tournament Xiao Yuan participated in, said Lin Yuan's father, Lin Shouqing, as he talked about a recent hot topic. He couldn't help but start complaining. Ha ha ha, you don't know about this. Many of the genius evolvers from Sanglan Star have joined the tournament in the neighboring star system because the Qikuan Star Lord's attention will be there this time, Lin Yi interjected. Although she was just a first-rank evolver, having a brother who was a peak master meant she knew many secret matters. Martial arts tournament. Lin Yuan was slightly startled. Our Xiao Yuan was the champion of the last martial arts tournament on Sanglan Star, his mother Lu Qiong said with a smile. Champion of the martial arts tournament, Lin Yuan felt somewhat strange as his thoughts drifted. The Anan Star Alliance's martial arts tournament was held every 15 years. Lin Yuan still vividly remembered the numerous opponents he faced when he took part in the tournament. Back then, he was at the 3rd or 4th rank, deliberately prolonging the duration of the matches to study his opponent's evolution paths, earning the nickname Torture King. In the blink of an eye, he had now reached the pinnacle of the 7th rank, just half a step away from entering the 8th layer. And in terms of real combat power, he could crush the majority of 8th layer evolvers. His citizenship level had even reached level 7, ranking high in the Anan Star Alliance as an elder, with even ordinary star domain star lords treating him with great politeness. So it has been 15 years already, Lin Yuan mused to himself. To be precise, these 15 years were in the main world, the 15 years that his parents and sister had lived through. As for Lin Yuan, if one were to include the time spent traveling between worlds, it far exceeded 15 years, probably amounting to 1,000 years. With my current status, as my teacher opens up the trial world, I shall be observing the challengers along with my fellow disciples, yet once I was one of those challengers, Lin Yuan solemnly thought to himself. Just 15 years had passed, and Lin Yuan had undergone a transformation of identity, from being a challenger to a judge. After chatting with his parents and family for a while longer, Lin Yuan disconnected from the virtual world, returning to reality. Origin fine gold. With a thought, an item the size of a fist shaped like a bell appeared before Lin Yuan. This bell-shaped weapon was the Origin fine gold, which after hundreds of years of nurture in the Tianqin world, had roughly taken shape. With the shaping continued by Lin Yuan in the main world over the past few years, the Origin fine gold was now basically fully formed and ready to be used as a weapon. Guarding the physical soul, Lin Yuan's requirement for this piece of Origin fine gold was defense, the ultimate defense. The palm-sized bell-shaped weapon swiftly rose, positioned above Lin Yuan's head and cascaded down multiple layers of light screens, encasing Lin Yuan within. Not bad at all. Seeing this, Lin Yuan nodded slightly in approval. With the defensive capabilities of the current bell-shaped weapon, most 8th rank evolvers wouldn't be able to break through Lin Yuan's defenses, unless they were at the pinnacle of the 8th rank, or an invincible presence like the Qikuan Star Lord, his teacher. Just as Lin Yuan was examining the bell-shaped weapon, the Qikuan Star Lord suddenly sent a message, summoning Lin Yuan. The teacher is looking for me. Lin Yuan stood up and quickly made his way to the red-hued Grand Hall. Teacher. Lin Yuan bowed slightly. He felt gratitude towards the Qikuan Star Lord, who had indeed treated him with sincerity. This is the soul defense treasure you need to repair. I've already had a friend fix it. The Qikuan Star Lord raised his right hand lightly, and a drop of water flew towards them. At last, it stopped in front of Lin Yuan. Repaired. Lin Yuan felt a surge of joy within him. This was an 8th rank soul defense treasure he had obtained from the 8th layer evolutionist Yin. It was severely damaged, having withstood a strike from an invincible 8th layer adversary. But no matter how broken, it was still an 8th rank soul defense treasure, and Lin Yuan would not abandon it under any circumstances. Years ago, Lin Yuan had asked his teacher, the Qikuan Star Lord, to completely repair it. I wonder how much it cost. Lin Yuan took the drop of water and carefully examined it for a while before looking up at the Qikuan Star Lord to ask. Although repairing an 8th rank soul defense treasure was much less costly than forging a new one, it was certainly no easy feat otherwise. Lin Yuan would have dealt with it himself and not have needed to ask the Qikuan Star Lord. Don't worry about it. It's a minor matter. The Qikuan Star Lord was unconcerned, not even asking about the origins of this drop of water. If you care about such matters, you can take a few disciples during the opening of the 7-star cave world this time. The Qikuan Star Lord said. The 7-star cave world. It seems this competition has brought out quite a few geniuses. Every competition, the Qikuan Star Lord would select a star system, gathering the top 10 from each planet's competition in a trial world to test if they were eligible to join the Red Kuan lineage. However, there were many trial worlds. And the 7-star cave trial world was not always available after every competition. It was only opened by the Qikuan Star Lord when the number or ratio of geniuses reached a certain level. During the last competition, there birthed the silver-haired girl Yinling with her spatial talent, as well as that tri-clan male and 2 other red pattern layer geniuses. Indeed, there are some promising youngsters. The Qikuan Star Lord nodded. To him, even the strongest talents were merely adequate, unless, like Lin Yuan, they directly grasped the mysterious yellow evolution path's essence. Otherwise, he hardly considered personally taking disciples. He'll have a look when the time comes. Lin Yuan replied, indicating that if he indeed found suitable evolvers, he would not mind incorporating them into 13 peaks. Of course, initially, Lin Yuan would only take peripheral disciples. Only if they continued to impress him would he gradually promote them to core disciples and eventually direct disciples. Time passed. More than half a month flew by in an instant. One day, in the virtual world, the Chikuan Starlord once again opened the Seven Stars Cave world. Over 1 million candidates were thrown into this trial world, and numerous candidates, after initial confusion, began their journey towards the second star cave, the third star cave. Somewhere in the mysterious space in the seven-star cave world, 12 figures stood casually. They were the 12 peak masters, who were now casually observing the evolvers undergoing trials below. Just then, Lin Yuan appeared. Little junior brother, you're here. Ha ha ha, later if you take a fancy to any of them, just say so. Yes, but don't forget to leave some for the eldest senior brother. We don't mind it, but the eldest senior brother is about to go to other star domains and needs people under his command. The peak masters greeted Lin Yuan with great enthusiasm. Lin Yuan responded to each of them. The peak masters within the Red Kun lineage were quite united, without much scheming against each other, which also related to the Chikuan Starlord's personality. Over 1,050,000 candidates, Lin Yuan arrived at his position, overlooking the first star cave and the second star cave below. The number of evolvers in this round of 7-star cave trials exceeded his time by 500,000, with over 1,050,000 candidates in total. The last time the 7-star cave world was opened, I was also one of those million-odd candidates. Lin Yuan looked down, his thoughts adrift. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 400. This session of the 7-star cave examination really did bring forth many geniuses. There were 13 red pattern challengers alone, and nearly 1,000 golden pattern challengers. You must know, whether it's red pattern or golden pattern, they are all personally recognized by the Chikuan Star Lord, although it cannot represent their full potential. But to become a red pattern, at the very least the unveiled talent and potential definitely ranks at the very top of all the challengers. And at this moment, under the watchful eyes of Lin Yuan and various peak masters, challengers, filled with vigor, continuously made their way through layer after layer of star caves, heading toward the ultimate 7th star cave. That red pattern challenger must have awakened some special fire system bloodline, with not low potential. Does anyone want him? Third senior brother's eyes shone as he asked. You can have him. I don't follow the fire system rules. Special bloodline, It looks like it should be one of those superior fire system bloodlines. The peak masters started to speak one after another. Lin Yuan also took a careful look at that red pattern challenger. Indeed, not bad. Lin Yuan nodded to himself. Although Lin Yuan didn't have any special bloodline, he had to admit that a superior bloodline physique truly provided significant help in cultivation. Especially in the early stages, a superior bloodline could even achieve victory over those at higher ranks. Since third senior brother wants him, I won't compete, Lin Yuan thought to himself. For Lin Yuan, it was only based on the suggestion of the Chikuan Star Lord that he planned to take in a few challengers. As for who exactly, that was not yet determined, to compete with brothers over a mere challenger. Lin Yuan felt it was unnecessary. I wonder if this time in the 7-star cave world, anyone will pass the ultimate challenge. Second senior brother said with a nostalgic tone, casually mentioning it. The so-called ultimate challenge was to comprehend the barest trace of the mysterious yellow evolution path. It was by achieving this that the Chikuan Star Lord, who was in seclusion and not to be disturbed, took the initiative to come out of seclusion and personally accepted Lin Yuan as the 13th disciple. You should know, before this, The Chikuan Star Lord had not taken a disciple for 10,000 years. Ordinary challengers, even if they were red patterns, could not catch the eye of the Chikuan Star Lord. With the talents of a red pattern challenger, at most they could hope to advance to the 6th rank, while every disciple taught by the Chikuan Star Lord starts from the 6th rank. The ultimate challenge. Our red Kuan lineage, in 10,000 years, only had junior brother emerge. Now to expect another one. How is that possible? Right, what do these challengers have to compare to junior brother? The 12 peak masters casually chatted. Under 100 years old 7th rank evolvers were rare, not to mention in the Chikuan star domain, even the entire Anan Star Alliance had only seen a few. How could there be 2 emerging in the Chikuan star domain consecutively? Lin Yuan listened to his senior brothers chatting, occasionally chiming in. Eldest senior brother, when do you plan to go to the star domains outside to be stationed? 4th senior brother Gu asked softly. The eldest senior brother, having stepped into the 8th layer, needed to fulfill the obligations of human civilization, stationing in a star domain for 500 years. This star domain, naturally, is not the star domains within human civilization, but recently developed fringe star domains. The Human Civilization Alliance is constantly expanding, and with that, the territory of human civilization is continuously growing. The star domains where 8th rank evolvers are required to station are the newly occupied territories of human civilization. In these territories, the main enemies are definitely quelled by the powerhouses of human civilization, but there still remain some residual tribal forces. It then depends on the decision of the Star Lord stationed in these star domains, whether to leave these residual forces and integrate them into human civilization or continue to quell them. It all depends on the will of the Star Lord. Each Star Lord's governance philosophy differs. Some Star Lords wish for all 10,000 universe races to coexist in harmony, while others believe that those of different species inherently carry different hearts. After this session of the 7-star cave examination has passed, I will set out. The eldest senior brother said. The edge of human civilization territory, not without danger, but an 8th rank evolver is no easy prey. To completely kill an 8th rank evolver? Difficult to accomplish, and by the 8th rank, they typically have avatars. To encourage 8th rank evolvers to be stationed at fringe starfields, the supreme beings of human civilization long ago made promises that any evolver who died at the hands of different species within the 500 years of their station would be given resurrection. Tens of thousands of years ago, the star domain Chikuan Star Lord was stationed at was indeed the boundary star domain of human civilization. It's just that after many years of expansion, the Chikuan star domain which was on the edge of the territory is now within the core of human civilization territory. Time passed. One after another, the challengers finally entered the 7th star cave and began to comprehend the more than 100 stone statues wholeheartedly. And after observations along the way, Lin Yuan and the other peak masters had roughly made their choices among the challengers. For the peak masters, it was only when selecting red pattern challengers that they would announce to each other, with the 13 red pattern challengers matching perfectly for the 13 peak masters, one for each. As for golden pattern and silver pattern challengers, they hardly made any greetings, because the numbers of golden and silver pattern were too vast. If by a slim chance, 2 peak masters chose the same golden pattern, they would let the golden pattern challenger decide themselves which peak master to join. Of course, if they encountered some special golden pattern challengers, there would be a peak master speaking up beforehand, but this situation was rare. Ordinarily, the hopes for golden pattern challengers to step into the 6th rank were much smaller than those of red pattern challengers. Junior brother, have you made your choice? 2nd senior brother curiously looked at Lin Yuan. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 401 I've almost made my decision. I chose 3 people this time, Lin Yuan nodded. Not all challengers are selected by the peak masters. The vast majority of challengers are not chosen, but after joining the Red Kun lineage, they strive to join a peak master through their postnatal efforts. Just like Fang Qing initially did not join any peak master's command. The same batch of red pattern evolvers were quickly picked by some peak masters early on. Being chosen early by a peak master equates to bypassing many detours. Which 3? The fellow senior brothers immediately became interested. They wanted to know which 3 challengers the junior brother with the remarkable talent had chosen. Mo Li, Feng Yu, Wu Lan, Lin Yuan said directly. Mo Li was one of the 13 ranked red pattern evolvers. When selecting him, Lin Yuan had discussed it with his senior brothers. As a red pattern evolver, Mo Li had notable talent, having formed a combat heart at the 4th rank, with combat power far surpassing others of the same rank, ranking within the top 3 among the 13 red patterns. Combat heart represents a certain realm, excelling in combat and innately close to rules related to slaughter. As for Feng Yu and Wu Lan, one was a golden pattern, and the other was a silver pattern. Lin Yuan just casually picked them, taking those who caught his eye. Feng Yu follows the wind system rules and is already near mastering it, standing out among golden pattern challengers. As for Wu Lan, she is a silver pattern challenger. Lin Yuan chose her purely because she follows the martial path evolutionary path. Although the martial path evolutionary path is extremely famous in the Qikuan star domain, it emerged too recently. There are some 3rd-rank martial arts evolutionaries, but most are over 100 years old. Even if not over 100 years old, they don't necessarily participate in the arena competitions of the Qikuan star domain. Thus, seeing a 3rd-rank martial arts evolutionary in this 7-star cave trial was quite rare, and Lin Yuan casually selected her. The junior brothers' choices are quite patterned. Upon hearing this, the peak masters looked at each other and couldn't help but smile wryly. 1 red pattern. 1 golden pattern. 1 silver pattern. Isn't it spreading benefits evenly? I chose randomly, Lin Yuan said with a smile. Aside from the red pattern, the remaining 2 were indeed chosen randomly. The golden pattern challenger you picked seems to overlap with what the eldest senior brother chose. The second senior brother seemed to think of something, and hastily said. Overlapped. The eldest senior brother was stunned. Is it called Feng Yu? Then I'll let the junior brother have him, the eldest senior brother said outright. A mere golden pattern, even if it were a red pattern, if the junior brother desired it, the eldest senior brother would let it go outright. You don't need to do this, Lin Yuan immediately said. Let him choose for himself. Lin Yuan thought for a while, letting the eldest senior brother concede, which also made him feel somewhat embarrassed. That's fine. Let Feng Yu choose for himself, the eldest senior brother said, having no objections. After all, it was just a golden pattern challenger, nothing compared to their fraternity among the peak masters. The other peak masters at the scene saw this and didn't find it strange. It was just another golden pattern challenger, and such challengers appeared every 15 years, nothing special. Freebnol. Calm. All the evolvers who passed the 7th star cave trial were teleported to a square. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, the 7-star cave trial ended. At this moment, only a few thousand challengers were standing on this square. From the initial over 150 million to the present few thousand, the pass rate was roughly 1,000th. At this time, the few thousand challengers standing there all had tense expressions. Because what followed would be the moment that decided their destinies. Everyone who passed the 7-star cave scene was now under the watch of the 13 peak masters. Based on performance, the 13 peak masters would select a batch to join their command. For everyone, this was akin to the chance of carp transforming into a dragon. Being able to join a peak master directly meant bypassing many detours and attaining a significant position within the Red Kun lineage. Fong Qing's figure appeared on this square. The 3 challengers the Peak Master wants to recruit. As the housekeeper of the current 13 peaks, Fong Qing was specifically responsible for many matters atop the 13 peaks. After Lin Yuan informed him of the names of the challengers who had passed the 7-star cave trial, he was in charge of notifying them. The first, silver pattern challenger Wulan. Fong Qing walked up to a nervous young girl and said gently, "The 13th Peak Master invites you to join 13 peaks. If you wish, just enter through the 13th door later." After finishing his words, Fong Qing pointed towards the 13 doors in the distance, where the 13th door belonged to the 13th Peak Master. I am willing." Wu Lan's mind was a blur, and after coming to her senses, she hurriedly said excitedly, "My God!" She was actually noticed by the 13th Peak Master. As a silver pattern challenger, the probability of being selected by a Peak Master was very low, let alone by the famed 13th Peak Master known throughout the Qikuan Star Domain and even the Annan Star Alliance. Before participating in this arena competition, Wulan was already a fan of the 13th Peak Master. She hadn't expected to be able to join 13 peaks at this moment. Wulan was somewhat dizzy from the unexpected benefit that befell her. The other challengers around were looking at Wulan with envy. But they could only envy, for whom the Peak Masters chose to pick was entirely up to the Peak Masters. After notifying Wulan, Fong Qing then walked towards another challenger, Feng Yu. "The 13th Peak Master also wants me to join." Feng Yu was a handsome man, who hesitated upon hearing Fong Qing's words. "Indeed. If you agree, just enter through the 13th door later. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 402 Fong Qing finished speaking and then turned to leave, walking towards the last of the examiners. 13 Peaks Master. Feng Yu naturally had heard of the 13 Peaks Master, a top-class prodigy with exceptional brilliance in the Qikuan Star Domain, a freak who stepped into the 7th rank before the age of 100. At the same time, the 13 Peaks Master was the only disciple the Qikuan Star Lord had taken in for 10,000 years. In theory, Feng Yu should have been overjoyed to accept the invitation from the 13 Peaks Master. It was just that before this, the Great Peak Master had also sent someone to invite him. This made Feng Yu hesitate. Although the Great Peak Master's innate talent was not as good as that of the 13 Peaks Master. But having stepped into the 8th layer not long ago, even if the 13 Peaks Master was extremely talented, who knows how long it would take to go from 7th to 8th layer. The 13 Peaks Master is indeed a top-level prodigy, but he's too young. How could he possibly know how to teach disciples? Feng Yu thought to himself, moreover, the 13 Peaks Master has only invited me to become a peripheral member of the 13 Peaks, but the Great Peak Master promised that if I joined the first peak, I would be an inner member right away, and it's only a matter of time before becoming a core member. After weighing the options, Feng Yu ultimately decided to choose the Great Peak Master. After all, one was at the 8th layer, the other at the 7th. One an inner core member, the other peripheral. Most importantly, having experienced so many years, the Great Peak Master, who had deeply received the true teachings of the Qikuan Star Lord, would certainly far exceed the 13 Peaks Master in teaching disciples. Among the red pattern examiners, Emoli sat cross-legged. Being one of the 13 red patterns, Emoli was certain to be valued by a Peak Master. At this moment, what Emoli pondered was, which Peak Master would invite him. Compared to Feng Yu, Emoli's background was much greater, and he had a precise analysis of the various Peak Masters. The 13 Peaks Master wishes to. Fong Qing walked up to Emoli. The 13 Peaks Master invites me. Emoli's eyes lit up, and he felt an instant surge of elation in his heart. He came from a 7th rank power of the Anan Star Alliance, specifically coming to the Chikuan Star domain to participate in the arena competition in hopes of joining the Red Kuan lineage. After an analysis with the elders of his power, Emoli knew that the best outcome within the Red Kuan lineage would be to become a disciple of the Chikuan Star Lord, but that was unrealistic. Calm apart from the Chikuan Star Lord, the 7th rank evolver in Emoli's power weighed the options and concluded that it was best to be under the youngest and least experienced 13 Peaks Master. Although the Great Peak Master had entered the 8th layer earlier, given the 13 Peaks Master's talent, ascending to the 8th layer was just a matter of time. Furthermore, the 13 Peaks Master, being the beloved junior disciple of the Chikuan Star Lord, might very well become the 2nd Chikuan Star Lord, an invincible existence at the 8th layer. Thus, the earlier he entered under the 13 Peaks Master, the more benefits he would obtain, a great opportunity. After the housekeepers of the various Peak Masters completed their invitations, one by one, the evolvers began walking towards the distant 13 gates. The 13 gates, from the 1st to the 13th, respectively represented the 1st Peak Master to the 13th Peak Master of the Red Kuan lineage. Swish swish swish. After all the examiners entered the gates, they were then transported to a pavilion. You didn't choose the 13 Peaks Master. Emoli, with a joyful mind and spirit, had been placed under the 13 Peaks Master, only feeling a bright future ahead of him. However, when he saw the one character imprinted on Feng Ye's sleeve, he immediately felt some astonishment. The number on the sleeve represented the examiner's choice. Emoli's sleeve was imprinted with 13. But Emoli remembered that Feng Qing, the housekeeper of the 13 Peaks, had invited Feng Yu. How come the other party had not joined the 13 Peaks? Lord Emoli. Upon seeing the red pattern examiner addressing him, Feng Yu immediately responded with respectful posture, I have chosen the Great Peak Master, to give up the 13 Peaks Master, to choose the Great Peak Master. Emoli looked at Feng Yu somewhat surprised, then turned and walked away. In his mind, he couldn't help criticizing, foolish. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 403, What does Lord Emoli mean? Feng Yu, seeing Emoli turn away without hesitation, felt a sense of foreboding. In terms of background, he was far inferior to Emoli, coming from a power that had once produced a 6th rank fallen star warrior. However, having been defined as a golden pattern, Feng Yu was naturally not foolish. He knew that among the 13 Peak Masters, the talent and innate abilities were the strongest and most favored by the Chikuan Star Lord. After all, he was a junior disciple. But what of it? No matter how strong the innate talent, it has no direct connection with whether one would teach a disciple. In the many alliances of human civilization stars, there were numerous invincible existences at the 8th layer, but the Chikuan Star Lord was unique because he excelled at mentoring disciples. The Great Peak Master's innate talent was not as good as that of the Shursan Peak Master, but after all, he had been with the Star Lord the longest and had now stepped into the 8th layer. He would soon preside over a star domain and become a new Star Lord. His choice of the Great Peak Master might be surpassed by the Shursan Peak Master after a long period, but at least before that long period, his Feng Ye's choice was definitely not wrong. However, Feng Ye's thoughts began to waver when he saw Emoli's tone when asking him the question and the look of astonishment when he learned of his choice of the Great Peak Master. Emoli, being a red pattern examiner and with a mysterious and enormous background, surely knew many things that he himself was unaware of. Could it be that he had chosen wrongly with such a reaction from the other party? Feng Yu began to doubt himself. He looked at the one on his sleeve cuff. This number was the mark of the 13 Peak Masters. Once it appeared, it could not be changed. Perhaps a red pattern examiners could change it, but he, merely a golden pattern challenger, definitely had no such possibility. After all, it involved the dignity of the 13 peak masters. Before entering those 13 grand doors, the challengers could make their own choices, but once they entered, it was already decided. I don't believe I made the wrong choice. That Shirsan peak master, no matter how monstrous his talent, will take a great deal of time to step into the 8th layer, thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Before then, my choice is correct. Even a strong 7th rank is still a 7th rank, it can't compare to an 8th layer. Feng Yu steadied his mind, thinking that Immortality did this deliberately to shake his mental state. Half a day later, Feng Yu, along with many other challengers, entered the first mountain peak to meet the great peak master. Greetings, peak master. Dozens of evolvers respectfully saluted the great peak master. Rise. The great peak master was casually indifferent. Among these challengers, only that red pattern could catch his eye more than once, but as for golden patterns, being chosen to join the first mountain peak, they were essentially all golden patterns. Golden pattern challengers were unparalleled geniuses dominating a planet in the outside world, but here, they were just starting out. Great Peak Master. Feng Yu sneakily glanced at the Great Peak Master. Having forsaken the Shirsan Peak Master and chosen the Great Peak Master, maybe I will be treated differently. Feng Yu thought secretly, a glimmer of hope rising in his heart. However, to Feng Yu's disappointment, the Great Peak Master didn't give him an extra glance from start to finish. After listening to the Great Peak Master's instructions, he was led out with the other challengers. No special treatment. Feng Yu felt dejected. No matter. The Great Peak Master is an 8th layer evolver, there will be many more days ahead. Definitely better than choosing the Shirsan Peak Master. Feng Yu comforted himself. 13th Mountain Virtual World. Mo Li and Wulan entered the Grand Hall with nervousness, and upon seeing Lin Yuan, they respectfully saluted, "Greetings, Peak Master." Lin Yuan sat in the high seat, looking down at these two young challengers. One was 87, the other 69. Those evolvers who participated in the tournament were all under 100 years old, many being 98 or 99, hoping to seize the last chance to make a break. Although Lin Yuan was younger than these two challengers, with the years spent traveling through worlds, his true age was much older. 13th Mountain doesn't have many people. Since you've been chosen by me, you are now people of the 13th Mountain, Lin Yuan said, looking at them. Yes. Mo Li and Wulan were invigorated and hurriedly responded. Especially Wulan, who originally hadn't thought that, as a silver pattern challenger, she would be directly chosen by a peak master, let alone the greatly renowned Shirsan Peak Master. Just join the 13th Mountain, I will give you some guidance. Lin Yuan looked at Mo Li and said, Mo Li, you have condensed a fighting spirit, and have a talent in combat. Don't resist. Okay. Upon hearing this, Mo Li immediately let down all defenses. Lin Yuan's consciousness immediately began to probe into Mo Li's physical body. Although Mo Li's body here was not his true body, the virtual world's complete replication made it virtually no different from the true body. Lin Yuan observed Mo Li's physical soul carefully, and based on Mo Li's forte in combat, he began to ponder. Your perception defies heaven, comprehending the unknown physical soul and conceiving the corresponding evolution secret technique. In just over a dozen breaths, an evolution secret technique completely suitable for Mo Li was created by Lin Yuan. This evolution secret technique, specifically tailored for Mo Li, might be ineffective for other evolvers to practice, but for Mo Li, it was a guiding light for the current and even future stages. It could correct the path Mo Li was on and even allow him to go further in the future. Lin Yuan withdrew his consciousness, looking at Mo Li, Peak Master. Mo Li opened his eyes, somewhat anxiously asked. I have a secret technique that suits you well. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 404. Lin Yuan's mind stirred slightly, and he transmitted the secret technique he had just comprehended directly into Mo Li's sea of consciousness. Comprehending this secret technique did not consume too much of Lin Yuan's energy. After all, it didn't need to be widely applicable, it just had to suit Mo Li's condition. Moreover, Lin Yuan was already at the pinnacle of the 7th rank, while Mo Li was only 4th rank, so it wasn't an exaggeration to say that guiding from a higher plane was a simple and easy task. This secret technique. Mo Li glanced briefly at the evolution secret skill that surged into his mind and was immediately shocked. He could feel that this secret technique was extremely compatible with him, as if it were tailor-made for him. This was utterly inconceivable. You must know, although evolution secret techniques were far from having as significant an impact as evolution paths on evolvers, choosing the right secret technique suited to oneself could often lead to twice the result with half the effort. However, with secret techniques vast as fireworks, how to choose a suitable secret technique for comprehension was a massive challenge. Each evolver's condition is different, experiences vary, and physical constitutions are vastly diverse, even for an invincible 8th layer being like the Chikuan Star Lord. Choosing a suitable secret technique for a disciple also required time to observe. Even then, the evolution secret technique chosen in the end was not wholly compatible with oneself. To find a secret technique that perfectly matches one would need luck. But now, Mo Li felt that the evolution secret technique bestowed by the 13 Peaks Peak Master was perfectly aligned with him. This simply made it hard for him to believe. Wrong. The outside world sees the 13 Peaks Peak Master as a freak of talent and aptitude, but now it seems, the Master's methods of instructing disciples are also. Mo Li was inwardly excited, yet he did not know how to describe it. Merely observing him for a while, the Peak Master had selected an evolution secret technique that was a perfect fit for him, a method that indeed defied common sense. What Mo Li did not know was that this secret technique wasn't picked out by Lin Yuan at all, but was comprehended on the spot based on the state of his physical soul. This secret technique is a secret of the 13 peaks, do not divulge it, said Lin Yuan, noticing that Mo Li was lost in thought, as he reminded him. Yes. Thank you, Master, for your great kindness. Mo Li immediately came to his senses and knelt to kowtow on the ground. The most important aspect of a teacher instructing a disciple is guidance. For Lin Yuan to select an evolution secret technique that perfectly matched Mo Li was akin to being reborn. How could Mo Li not know the grace bestowed by Lin Yuan? Lin Yuan nodded, his gaze shifting to Wu Lan beside him. Peak Master. Wu Lan immediately called out anxiously. Seeing Mo Li's excited demeanor and his expression almost chanting the great Tao is within grasp, Wu Lan felt even more puzzled, as she was the most ordinary silver pattern challenger, already feeling immense pressure facing Mo Li, a red pattern individual. You are cultivating the martial path evolutionary path? Lin Yuan looked towards Wu Lan and asked. Having watched Wu Lan's trial video in the 7-star cave world, Lin Yuan knew the path she had taken. Of course, Wu Lan's final choice of rule was not Tai Yin and Tai Yang but the water rule from the basic 5 elements. Yes. Wu Lan immediately responded. The martial path evolutionary path was popular in the Chikuan star domain, albeit with not many strong practitioners, as it had only surfaced not long ago. Water nourishes all things without a sound. Your path should be based on the rule of water, comprehending deeply the other 4 elements of metal, wood, fire, and earth. Lin Yuan pondered for a while. As the founder of martial Tao, perhaps no other evolver in the world understood it better than he. With one glance, he laid out Wu Lan's future cultivation plan. At the same time, with a point of his right hand, Lin Yuan transmitted an evolution secret technique to guide Wu Lan's cultivation into her sea of consciousness. If Wulan could reach a certain depth in the 5 elements rules of metal, wood, water, fire, earth by the 6th rank, and also gain a basic understanding of the space rules, comprehending the fundamental spatial model, she might be able to create a small 5 elements world at the pinnacle of the 6th rank. But Lin Yuan felt that given Wu Lan's displayed talent and aptitude, it would be hard to achieve this goal. If not at the 6th rank, then at the 7th, the method of opening the realm with the 5 elements rules plus the space rules was set, and Wu Lan's future path should not encounter any significant problems. Wu Lan's eyes widened. The evolution secret technique Lin Yuan transmitted into her mind was crystal clear, like the ultimate truths of evolution manifested. At this moment, Wu Lan finally understood why Mo Li, as a red pattern challenger, had shown such an expression. It was the excitement of seeing one's future path, and the thrill of understanding the Tao that made life worth living even if death followed hearing it in the evening. Thank you for the guidance, Peak Master. Without hesitation, Wu Lan knelt on the ground and gave a kowtow. Very well. You two practice diligently. Lin Yuan waved his hand, signaling them to leave. It wasn't until Mo Li and Wu Lan had left that Lin Yuan withdrew his gaze. I hope you two won't disappoint me, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Chikuan Main Star. Deep within the 13 Peaks Great Hall, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his mind observing the magic jade mark branded within his soul. This magic jade mark is connected to that mysterious space. Lin Yuan's thoughts drifted, and he faintly perceived through the magic jade mark a vast and mysterious space. This mysterious space was completely closed off. Even sensing its existence, one could not enter, not even a supreme being, unless they had the magic jade mark as the key to explore it. In fact, the current human civilization's evolvers who contemplate the evolution path enveloped within that segment of the body are not wrong in their approach, Lin Yuan silently mused. To condense the magic jade mark, one needed to follow one of 2 methods. Freeweb novel. Calm one was like Lin Yuan, who fathomed all 3,333 evolution paths. The other was to choose one evolution path to cultivate, continuously perfecting and supplementing this path until the end, which could also result in the condensation of the magic jade mark. Presently, most evolvers of human civilization followed the second method. However, thus far, not a single evolver had succeeded in traversing it completely, and the vast majority had failed utterly. As for the first method, Lin Yuan, who possessed an against heaven's understanding, managed to achieve it, a feat difficult for other evolvers of the human alliance to replicate. Still, I should inform the goddess of wisdom, it's at least another path, Lin Yuan reflected and made up his mind. According to the rules set by the 3 goddesses, anyone who could benefit the human civilization alliance would receive merit points as a reward. The human civilization alliance wouldn't let down any evolvers who made a contribution. Goddess of Wisdom. Lin Yuan directly contacted the Goddess of Wisdom. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, the Goddess of Wisdom is pleased to be of service to you, came the solemn and cool voice of the Goddess of Wisdom. I have some information about the body from the large alien battlefield, Lin Yuan quickly said. Upon these words, the Goddess of Wisdom fell into a noticeably silent moment. Clearly, she had not anticipated that Lin Yuan would speak of this matter, especially since it involved intelligence on the body of a supreme being from beyond their world. 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, please proceed, the Goddess of Wisdom responded. Lin Yuan could sense the seriousness in the Goddess of Wisdom's voice and even had the feeling that the goddess' main consciousness had descended at this moment. I do not know the specifics. What I am certain of is that there are 2 ways to discern the secrets within that body. One is to cultivate the evolutionary path one has perceived and to follow it to its end. The other is not to cultivate any one evolutionary path but to perceive all 3,333 evolution paths from that body. Lin Yuan concealed the part about the magic jade mark and the magic jade tower. Without being sure of which power the magic jade tower belonged to, Lin Yuan felt it was best not to reveal this information. After all, having spoken about the methods, Lin Yuan felt he had done right by his human identity. 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, please wait a moment. After speaking, the goddess of wisdom fell silent. Lin Yuan understood that the goddess of wisdom was verifying the authenticity of the information he had shared. The three goddesses were no fools. They wouldn't just take Lin Yuan's word for it without prior validation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 405, I wonder how many merit points this intelligence can fetch. Lin Yuan felt expectant, having tasted the many exclusive privileges of a 7th level citizen. He now desired to advance to an 8th level citizen as soon as possible. In the entire Anon Star Alliance, there is only one 8th level citizen in this era, the Star Alliance Council Speaker. Even in the face of an 8th level citizen, beings as formidable as the Chikuan Star Lord and the 9 Dragon Star Lord, who stand at the 8th layer, must show respect. Unfortunately, advancing from a 6th level to a 7th level citizen is as difficult as reaching the heavens, and moving from the 7th to the 8th level is like crossing a chasm. Even the Chikuan Star Lord, having slain innumerable alien strong ones, has yet to accumulate enough merit points to become an 8th level citizen. Many of the scholars who opened up a complete 8th layer evolution path are also not 8th level citizens. Lin Yuan understood that the intelligence he spoke of could not possibly fill the merit point deficit required to level up to an 8th level citizen. However, it could at least lessen the difficulty of advancing to an 8th level citizen in the future. An hour later, the voice of the goddess of wisdom came again. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, the intelligence you provided has been assessed to be worth 1.5 million merit points. Would you like them to be issued now? 1.5 million merit points. A smile emerged on Lin Yuan's face. He had earned 3 million merit points for creating the 7th stage Martial Tao chapter, and now, a mere piece of intelligence was valued at half the 7th stage Martial Tao chapter. Issue them. Lin Yuan felt satisfied. He knew the intelligence he provided sounded like it would help human civilization's evolvers find another way to comprehend the body segment. But that's only how it sounded. How many evolvers could achieve it? The very thought of comprehending 3,333 evolution paths made one's scalp tingle. For almost all evolvers, this method was much more difficult than directly practicing a specific evolution path. Therefore, the goddess of wisdom's valuation of this intelligence at 1.5 million merit points had exceeded Lin Yuan's expectations. Like evolution paths, if an evolution path is rated at the 9th or 10th rank, or even higher, its value is naturally immense. But if you add the caveat, impossible to cultivate before this evolution path, then its value would undoubtedly plummet, and the intelligence Lin Yuan provided was such that, at least at the moment, no evolver could fathom all 3,333 evolution paths. Even if it could be achieved in the future, that would be a matter of much later on. As Lin Yuan consented, 1.5 million merit points were deposited into his account. However, if it's just about practicing a specific evolution path, perfecting it, and reaching the end, Supreme Being can do it. Logically, Supreme Being should have already congealed the magic jade mark and known the method I spoke of, Lin Yuan suddenly thought. Perhaps the conditions for Supreme Beings to congeal the magic jade mark are different from ours. Lin Yuan speculated. Considering the stature of Supreme Beings, merely perfecting and repairing a flawed evolution path is not difficult. Based on the difficulty of becoming an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower, the test for Supreme Beings should be higher, or maybe they join the Magic Jade Tower not as ordinary members at all. Several days later, Lin Yuan opened the current map of the cosmic starry sky in the human civilization territory. The star domain that Big Brother chose to preside over is located on the southeast edge of the human civilization territory, where it touches other powerful clans. Lin Yuan had already learned from his elder martial brother which star domain he would preside over. The newly opened star domains of human civilization are not like the Chikuan star domain, which has been developed for hundreds of thousands of years and is essentially a stronghold that faces no danger. A star domain on the edge of the territory, being newly developed and bordering different species, along with many areas inside the territory that have not been completely cleared, such as some entrenched special life clans or cosmic secret realms, etc. All of these await the Star Lords to handle. Newly promoted 8th layer evolvers are required to preside over a star domain for 500 years, not for leisure, but truly to fight for human civilization. Big Brother has chosen a good location, at least it's not bordering peak clans. Lin Yuan mused to himself. Merely bordering several powerful clans promised high safety since powerful clans would not dare to be enemies with human civilization. Let alone taking action against a Star Lord. If someone acted today, the nest of that powerful clan could be flattened by human civilization tomorrow. But peak clans are different. Of course, normally, human civilization and other peak clans are quite restrained toward each other. The commotion last time in the battlefields of different races was because the insect race was fighting over a supreme evolution path. That's why they almost flipped the table. A supreme evolution path belonging to a fallen supreme being has the potential to produce another supreme being. And a supreme being can completely change the overall situation of the many alliances of peak clans. The insect race naturally spared no effort. Even so, after the event, the insect race alliance suffered consequences from human civilization. Many powerful clans within suffered heavy losses, with the Heiyuan clan's homeland being wiped out by 1/10. Issues that concern the birth of a supreme being are a cause for peak clans like the insect race to fall out with human civilization. As for other matters, there is no need to go that far. Although there is mutual infiltration and assassination of each other's talented individuals, overall they are contained within a certain range. When I step into the 8th layer, I will also need to choose a star domain to preside over. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 406 Lin Yuan had communicated with the eldest senior brother multiple times, which appeared caring, but in fact, it was also for his own sake. After all, at present, Lin Yuan was only a step away from the 8th layer, and his mental will index had soared to over 9,800 after condensing the magic jade mark. The 10,000 point threshold was within reach. As long as his mental will index reached 10,000 points, Lin Yuan would be able to step directly into the 8th layer. At that time, my true self will go to the star domain to sit in command. The Yin God will remain on the battlefields of different races to comprehend the eternal spatial rift, and the Yang spirit will stay on the Chikuan main star, leaving behind a drop of essence blood, Lin Yuan thought to himself. The true self with the strongest power would be sweeping all combat power in the star domain. Even if an accident occurred and the true self fell, the essence blood left on the Chikuan main star could rapidly grow and return in the most perfect form with the help of the divine skill, blood rebirth. There would be no need to resort to the measures derived from the Yin spirit and Yang spirit for generating a physical body. Of course, to minimize losses, the true self that was going to sit in command at the star domain definitely couldn't carry any treasures. Otherwise, if it died and lost the treasures, Lin Yuan would still feel pained. A physical body could be reborn, but treasures could not be brought back. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Lin Yuan pondered for a while and slightly shook his head. According to the Human Civilization Alliance's data, the mortality rate for newly promoted 8th rank evolvers going to sit in command in the fringe starfield is very low. That's the case for ordinary 8th rank evolvers, let alone Lin Yuan, who could crush most of the 8th layer when he was only at the 7th rank. When he gets promoted to the 8th rank, his combat power will once again undergo a great transformation, by which time he could probably stand shoulder to shoulder with those at the pinnacle of the 8th layer. Virtual world. Inside a bar. This bar was open only to evolvers above the 7th rank, forming a high-ranking evolver communication venue in human civilization. Lin Yuan was sitting in a corner, casually chatting with Gao Wufeng. Some time ago, Gao Wufeng, practicing the evolution path derived from that body part, almost lost himself in madness, but was timely suppressed by his teacher, the 9-sword Star Master, and has barely recovered recently. I finally understand why you, Shirsan, did not cultivate the evolution path within that body part back then. It turns out you were pursuing a second method. Gao Wufeng had an epiphany. Not long ago, the goddess of wisdom once again announced that comprehending that body part involved not only direct cultivation but also the deduction of a certain number of evolution paths as another way. The goddess of wisdom specifically emphasized that this method was extremely difficult, which is why it wasn't announced immediately but was tested with a selection of talented evolvers first. Now that it was confirmed there were no problems, it was finally announced to the public. Ha ha ha, Lin Yuan shook his head and smiled. The goddess of wisdom was indeed considerate. This way, it happened to conceal Lin Yuan's identity. I understand, you cannot divulge such a secret to outsiders, Shirsan. Gao Wufeng immediately expressed his understanding. But this method is too outrageous, comprehending a certain number of evolution paths. Under that kind of spiritual pressure, it's hard enough just to maintain sanity, let alone deduce one evolution path after another. Gao Wufeng shook his head, his tone revealing helplessness. Indeed. This method is extremely safe. At least one spirit would not be affected by incorrect evolution paths for Obnol. Calm but realistically, it's almost impossible to achieve. If you don't cultivate the deduced evolution paths, you will continue to be suppressed by the psychic will pressure. This kind of pressure isn't from weak to strong but is based on the strength of the evolver's spirit will. Even if your mental will index reached 20,000 points, under that spirit will pressure, you would quickly reach your limit. And then, it all depends on your endurance. Before comprehending that body part, Lin Yuan's mental will index was just over 7,000 points, but after a few years of comprehending, it was nearly 10,000 points. Under the pressure of the seemingly inexhaustible spirit will, it's a kind of tempering for one's own spirit will. I haven't deduced too many myself, Lin Yuan nodded. The evolution paths contained within that body part were endless in his eyes, and he had only thoroughly comprehended just over 3,000, which was merely a drop in the ocean. There you go being modest again, Shirsan. Gao Wufeng looked at Lin Yuan with a touch of helplessness. At the same time, he wondered to himself, how many paths? To be able to say this, at the very least, it meant Shirsan had deduced at least 5 or 6 evolution paths, perhaps even close to 10. After chatting casually with Gao Wufeng for a while, Lin Yuan returned to the virtual world of comprehending that body part. The goddess of wisdom actually revealed the second method. Lin Yuan pondered internally. After a brief thought, Lin Yuan understood again. What would it matter even if the method was made public? As long as it wasn't disclosed how many evolution paths need to be comprehended to reach the target, it would be meaningless to let the different species know. Sometimes, the goal is vital. If one does not know how many evolution paths they have truly comprehended, those alien strong ones would basically find it impossible to persist. After all, the psychic will pressure from that segment of the body is a form of extreme torture. In a suboptimal state, the speed of enlightenment declines greatly. Lin Yuan stumbled into it by accident, never intending to comprehend the supreme evolution path but merely aiming to temper his spirit will. Moreover, with the boost from Against Heaven's understanding, he rapidly comprehended 3,333 types and finally condensed the magic jade mark, achieving an enlightenment of everything. Others. They could hardly keep going. Continue to contemplate. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and looked up at that segment of the body beneath the sky once more. Even though Lin Yuan was now a regular member of the Magic Jade Tower, where there are regular members, there are core and even higher level members. If he continues to comprehend more evolution paths, could he possibly gain a promotion in his status within the Magic Jade Tower? What's most important is that contemplating the evolution paths within the body is hugely beneficial for Lin Yuan. He could integrate their essence into himself after analysis. And he could also continue to enhance his own spirit will. It was indeed killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Naturally, Lin Yuan was unwilling to give up. Even if not long after, Lin Yuan advanced to the 8th layer, he would not give up this place. Just like that. Lin Yuan submerged himself into contemplation once again. 1 day, 2 days. 1 month, 2 months. A year went by in the blink of an eye. Under the endless psychic will pressure, Lin Yuan's will seemed to reach its limit and started to crumble from the outer regions. Hold on. Lin Yuan was still persevering. Unaware of how much time had passed, as if breaking through certain shackles, Lin Yuan's spirit will began to transform. What was once nothing but an illusion now radiated a deep light, as tangible as reality. Phew. Lin Yuan exhaled softly. That moment just now, he nearly couldn't hold on. Fortunately, he hadn't given up in the end. My current spirit will, Lin Yuan sensed that his spirit will had definitely improved greatly compared to before, taking an important step from illusion to reality. Let's see what my current mental will index is. Lin Yuan disconnected from the virtual world and rested in reality for half a day. Then, in the most perfect state, he entered his personal space. Goddess of Wisdom, I request a measurement of my mental will index. Lin Yuan directly connected with the Goddess of Wisdom. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, without using any physical soul power, just by employing your own spirit consciousness, impact the surroundings, the solemn and cool voice of the Goddess of Wisdom came. Lin Yuan did as instructed, his vast psychic will pressure sweeping through the area. Distortion seemed to occur in the air. A moment later, the voice of the Goddess of Wisdom came again. Respected 7th level citizen Lin Yuan, after testing, your current mental will index is roughly around 11,200, increased by so much. Lin Yuan's heart was exhilarated. A mental will index of 10,000 was the threshold, determining the successful passage through the heart demon tribulation. Similarly, after reaching 10,000, the difficulty of improving the mental will index spiked significantly. For Lin Yuan to achieve a mental will index over 11,000 is unbelievable. For a 7th rank evolver to raise his mental will index to such a level is unprecedented in the history of human civilization. Mental will index exceeding 10,000. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and made a decision. Everything is ready. Begin the breakthrough to the 8th layer directly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 407 The mental will index has reached over 11,000 points. Overcoming the heart demon tribulation can be said to be without much difficulty. However, just to be safe and to prevent extreme scenarios from occurring, Lin Yuan still plans to face the heart demon tribulation in the world traversal. Over the 2 million plus years of Starry Sea era, the great evolutionary scholars of human civilization have conducted detailed research on the heart demon tribulation. Some scholars believe that the heart demon faced during the breakthrough to the 8th layer comes from the outside world and is the aggregation of the negative emotions of the countless living beings. There are also scholars who believe that the so-called heart demon comes from the obsessions of the evolver themselves. As for which one it actually is, there is still no consensus to this day. Lin Yuan chose to face the heart demon in the transversal world with the first situation in mind. The heart demon comes from outside. If it really is like that, and Lin Yuan senses something amiss and feels that he cannot overcome the heart demon tribulation. He can totally rely on the door to the myriad realms to escape back to the main world. Even if the heart demon is strong, it's not possible for it to cross into another dimensional plane to pursue him to the main world. Of course, with Lin Yuan's current mental will index of over 11,000 points, he doesn't believe that this possibility will occur, but one must always leave room for contingencies. Start. Lin Yuan's consciousness sunk into the depths of his mind. He looked towards that majestic and grand door to the myriad realms. The world-breaking origin force accumulated has now reached 7 strands. Lin Yuan checked the amount of world-breaking origin force he had. With the Yin God's continuous assistance at the eternal spatial rift in the different species battlefields, it only took 290 days to accumulate 1 strand of world-breaking origin force. Spending 1 strand of world-breaking origin force for peace of mind is not a loss. Lin Yuan thought to himself. For this traversal, Lin Yuan's main target was to overcome the heart demon tribulation. As for continuing his cultivation, comprehending rules, perfecting the martial path, evolutionary path, all of those could wait. Traversal. Lin Yuan directly consumed 1 strand of world-breaking origin force, his will surging into the door to the myriad realms. This old man, all added up, doesn't have much meat on him. Having some is better than none, at least we can stew some soup. Sigh, it has come to this, but the girl I saw today, she sure looked refreshing and delightful. Refreshing? What does that matter? In these times, even the most delightful charm isn't worth a pound of grain. Lin Yuan faintly heard some voices. Although he couldn't understand the language, instinctively, he could comprehend it. His consciousness had just awakened not long ago, and he hadn't fully acclimated yet, so he could only quietly listen to the conversation outside. After more than a dozen breaths, Lin Yuan's consciousness finally stabilized. The Greater Yan Empire. The end of the dynasty, warlords in chaos. The people in dire straits. Lin Yuan quickly absorbed the memories of his original body and understood his circumstances. The level of this world wasn't very high, at least from his original Buddhist memories. Even those powerful beings who could fight against hundreds were extremely rare. The Greater Yan Empire had ruled the world for nearly 500 years, and by now it was thoroughly decayed. With the uprising of various righteous armies, the entire empire was on the brink of collapse. The reason for such a situation was that the common people simply could not survive, ongoing disasters and the court's taxes, which grew heavier each year. It had already reached the point where people were eating each other. Just like Lin Yuan at this moment, who was treated as meat and even complained about for having too little of it. My body now. Lin Yuan sensed his body and frowned slightly, first noticing the age. The original body was over 60 years old, with severely declined bodily functions, plus a long time in a state of starvation. At this moment, even standing up was somewhat difficult. After contemplating for a while, he remembered from his memories that the original body was a small property owner. However, as chaos reigned and warlords attacked, the original body had been forced to flee with household servants. But shortly after escaping, they encountered a band of refugees, all valuables were robbed, and he barely managed to escape, only to end up here soon after. Lin Yuan rested for a moment and, leveraging his powerful spirit will, managed to stimulate his blood flow and recover somewhat. This plane of existence? Lin Yuan looked around. From the moment his consciousness woke to now, he hadn't felt a single trace of nature's spiritual energy or primordial qi. The age of Dharma decline. Lin Yuan surmised in his heart. Meanwhile, name, Chen Lin Yuan, identity, holder of the myriad realms gate, bound talent, heaven-defying comprehension, divine power, blood resurrection, current state, consciousness descent, remaining residence time, 30 years. Only 30 years of residence time. So, the world of my residence depends on the level of the world, not on my own realm. Lin Yuan appeared thoughtful. In his previous 6 traversals, Lin Yuan's residence time grew longer with each, leading him to believe that the residence time in the transversal world was related to his own realm. The higher the realm, the longer the residence time. But now, it seems to depend on the level of the world he has traversed into. After all, this current world is probably just a low martial world or even a non-martial world, likely weaker than the world he first traversed into, hence just 30 years of residence time. The traversal performed by consuming a strand of world-breaking origin force is completely random. In the previous 6 times, I was lucky, so each world I traversed into was helpful for my output. But this time, I'm lacking the luck of before, Lin Yuan silently thought. However, the level of the world traversed this time did not impact Lin Yuan's main objective much. In fact, the weaker the traversed world, the happier Lin Yuan was, because if the analysis of those great evolutionary scholars from human civilization was correct, the heart demons of the heart demon tribulation, emerging from the negative emotions of countless living beings, then the heart demons congealed from the negative emotions of countless beings in the main world, would definitely be vastly different from the heart demons of this low-level martial world. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 408 There's simply no comparison. For Lin Yuan to face the heart demon tribulation here was equivalent to lowering the difficulty. Facing the heart demon tribulation has nothing to do with the physical soul. What the heart demon targets is not the physical soul, but the spirit will. As long as one's realm is sufficient, they can induce the descent of the heart demon at any time. There's no need for the physical soul to reach the 7th rank limit simultaneously. Lin Yuan thought to himself. To step into the 8th layer, one's physical soul needs to reach the limit of perfection. However, to transcend the heart demon tribulation, there are no such requirements. It is only necessary for one's realm to meet the standard. Even now, Lin Yuan could invoke the descent of the heart demon. Although the stay here is not long, spanning 30 years, there's no need to rush things. Lin Yuan scanned his surroundings, knowing that his current situation was not good. It would be problematic if while transcending the heart demon tribulation, someone disturbed his body in the outside world. Old man, what are you standing up for? Do you really think you could escape? Where could you possibly flee to? Just as Lin Yuan was adjusting his qi and blood, standing up to move his body, 2 burly men nearby also looked over at him. They were draped with butchering tools and surveyed Lin Yuan with ill intentions. As if looking at a sheep or pig to be slaughtered. Roll. Lin Yuan gave the 2 men a glance. Without using any power, indeed he couldn't use any power at the moment since Lin Yuan had only just regained consciousness, he could only employ methods associated with spirit will. Boom. The moment the 2 burly men were glanced at by Lin Yuan, they felt as if the world had collapsed, their spirit as if crushed dozens of times over, resulting in a collapse of will, causing them to fall to the ground, convulsing uncontrollably. Their bodies were still alive. But their spirit will had collapsed. This was the advantage of having strong spirit will, a mere look could completely crush the opponent. Of course, the reason was also that the 2 burly men were too weak. If they were 6th or 7th rank evolvers, even if their spirit will was far inferior to Lin Yuan's, they would not have been so frail, protected by the physical soul. Let's go. Lin Yuan walked out unobstructed and leisurely. Along the way, some people attempted to stop him, but they all fell apart under Lin Yuan's gaze. Feed Knoll. See Sigmiam with his current strength of spirit will, even if he were surrounded by millions of troops, he would still be able to stroll out leisurely. This was still when the physical body was fragile, greatly limiting the expression of Lin Yuan's spirit will. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had gone by. During these 10 years, Lin Yuan chose not to immediately undergo the heart demon tribulation, instead journeying across the world, observing all living beings as a bystander. The Greater Yan dynasty had been overrun by rebel armies in the 4th year after Lin Yuan's arrival, leading to its complete downfall. At this point, the world was in utter chaos, with various warlords taking turns on the stage. Eventually, a rising warlord waving the Great Chu flag campaigned from the south to the north. After 6 years, he put an end to the age of turmoil and established the Great Chu Empire. In a sunny valley, a dignified middle-aged man stood respectfully outside. He seemed to be waiting for something. If an outsider were present, they would realize that this middle-aged man was none other than the founder and emperor of the Great Chu Empire, the most revered person in the world. Yet now, the founder of the empire stood outside the valley with utmost respect, not daring any transgression. Then, a boy came out from the valley. "Immortal Master, are you willing to see me?" the middle-aged man immediately asked in a low voice upon seeing the boy. "You may leave. The master has said that there is no significant kindness between you two. It is not something you should mind," the boy said solemnly. No significant kindness. The middle-aged man's face fell, lost in thought. If it weren't for the Immortal Master's intervention, he would have perished at the hands of the rebel armies long ago and would never have established such an empire. Although he had only followed the Immortal Master for a few years, the middle-aged man was acutely aware that the Immortal Master was a genuine immortal being, and ordinary matters never caught his attention. Even his position as Emperor of the Great Chu Empire was merely a result of being casually nurtured by the Immortal Master. "Yes." The middle-aged man took a deep breath and said softly, "Please tell the Immortal Master that I will ensure Great Chu offers daily sacrifices to the Immortal Master's tablet." Inside the valley, Lin Yuan glanced at the departing middle-aged man but didn't care much about him. He was not from this world. All his actions were simply carried out as he saw fit. As the Greater Yan perished and the world descended into chaos, Lin Yuan grew tired of it. Thus, he cultivated an emperor to stabilize the world, making it more pleasant to watch. Just that and nothing more. My spirit will index should be over 12,000 now, shouldn't it? Lin Yuan thought to himself. In the past 10 years, he had traveled the world, contemplative, and his spirit will had thus been enhanced. It's just that here, I can't feel the demon jade space. A sudden thought crossed Lin Yuan's mind. The moment Lin Yuan's consciousness descended and his memories synchronized, understanding the 3,333 evolutionary paths of the Tao, the magic jade mark naturally formed. In the main world, the instant the magic jade mark formed, Lin Yuan could feel that vast and mysterious expanse of the demon jade space. But here, he gained nothing. From this, it could be deduced that even the Moyu Tower Master was far inferior to the door to the myriad realms. Even the casual traversing of the door exceeded the perceptual limits of the demonic Jade Tower Master. Time passed by. In the blink of an eye, another 15 years had gone by. In these 15 years, the Great Chu Empire had entered a period of prosperity, with a significant increase in population. The founding emperor of Great Chu was praised by all the people. The founding emperor of Great Chu openly stated that everything he was doing now came from the guidance of the Immortal Master. Without the Immortal Master, there would be no him, and there would be no Great Chu Empire as it was now. The entire empire, from top to bottom, worshipped the Immortal Master's tablet day and night. Atop a mountain peak, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Unfortunately, this world is too weak. It's not even necessary to spread the martial path evolutionary path. Lin Yuan thought to himself. With the suppression of an age of Dharma decline in this world, even if Lin Yuan spread the martial path evolutionary path, future martial Tao cultivators could at most only cultivate to the innate realm. Equivalent to not even entering a rank. They simply could not touch upon the core essence of the martial path evolutionary path, thereby failing to offer any benefits to Lin Yuan. Of course, Lin Yuan had not given up on this world. In these 25 years, he wandered all over, etching the martial path evolutionary path onto special metals and spreading them to all corners of the world. One day, if this world should release its suppression, ending the age of Dharma decline, the martial path evolutionary path would undoubtedly be the first to rise. It is time to face the heart demon tribulation. Lin Yuan made up his mind. Though there were still 5 years left in his stay. But the past 25 years had already pushed the training of Lin Yuan's spirit will to its limits. Delaying further had lost its meaning. With this thought, Lin Yuan began to actively invite the heart demon. The heart demon tribulation descended. In a daze, Lin Yuan opened his eyes once more. He found himself inside a room. What is this? Before Lin Yuan could take a closer look, his mother Lu Qiong entered. Xiao Yuan, I've already asked your uncle, and he said he can remove your name from the mandatory conscription list. Lu Qiong said with apparent delight. Mandatory conscription list. Lin Yuan looked somewhat astonished, vaguely feeling that there was something wrong with this statement. Who would dare to forcefully conscript him? Yes, your uncle also said he found you a job in the government. Go see your uncle tomorrow, he will arrange everything. Xiao Yuan, your uncle is our family's benefactor, you must be polite when the time comes. Lu Qiong kept reminding him at the side. Once Xiao Yuan has a stable job, it'll be time to find a girlfriend. After you get married, to have children early, your father and I can help look after them. Those robots simply don't know how to care for children, it'd be better for us to do it. Lu Qiong began thinking about the future. Get married. Have children. In Lin Yuan's eyes, a starry sea vortex faintly surfaced. My journey is the vast starry sea, how could I be confined to a common planet? Lin Yuan stretched lazily, stood up, and laughed heartily. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 409. At this very moment, a vast spirit will coalesce within Lin Yuan, making him feel as if everything he saw was like an illusory bubble, easily popped with a touch. Rustle. In the instant Lin Yuan regained consciousness, his awareness began to sink once again. By the time Lin Yuan opened his eyes again, he had already arrived in the cosmic starry skies. The powerful aura of different species chased after him. Lin Yuan was clearly being hunted down. No matter if you are a peerless genius of human civilization, you will still die, the different species chasing behind him laughed maniacally. I am being chased. Lin Yuan frowned and subconsciously thought to continue fleeing for his life. The next moment, the vast spirit will once again coalesce inside him. This allowed Lin Yuan to instantly understand his situation. Just a heart demon, Lin Yuan stopped his escape as the illusionary realm around him began to collapse again. The essence of the heart demon tribulation is the heart demon itself. Evolvers, when facing the heart demon tribulation, will experience scenes they least wish to encounter. Or ones they are most willing to encounter. For example, Lin Yuan was most concerned about being killed by the different species before he could grow. Normally, if one's spirit will is not up to standard, they would easily get lost in the layers upon layers of illusion, meaning of failure in transcending the heart demon tribulation. But a strong spirit will can allow an evolver to quickly wake up. Or make the evolver realize that everything around them is an illusion, all fabricated. If they do, the probability of surpassing the heart demon tribulation greatly increases. Free Webnov. Calm in the blink of an eye, Lin Yuan shattered hundreds of heart demon illusions. With a change of scene, an insect race hive, rivaling a galaxy in size, appeared in the distance, 7th rank, 8th layer, and even 9th rank insect race warriors created by the hive charged out one after another. Is this an insect queen? A shock went through Lin Yuan's heart. The insect queen corresponded to a supreme being of human civilization. An insect queen could endlessly produce a vast number of 7th, 8th, and 9th rank insect race warriors. These insect race warriors, one-on-one, are definitely not a match for evolvers of the same rank. But they are endless in number, and the mere sight of millions of ordinary 8th-layer insect race warriors would make even the Chikuan Star Lord's scalp tingle. It's precisely for this reason that in the war between human civilization and the insect race, there is no advantage, rather a disadvantage, in the mid to low-end battles. Only at the level of supreme beings is the fight dominated by the human side, as the insect queens are suppressed by the supreme beings. This is because the insect queens are incapable of creating supreme being level warriors. The insect queen taking action against me personally is too far-fetched. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Even without a powerful spirit will, he felt the scene before him was somewhat absurd. The matriarchs were beings that could stand up to supreme beings. Even the evolvers, peerless geniuses of an era among humans, were not worth the effort of a matriarch's direct intervention, given their status and position. Booming. As the massive spirit will gathered, Lin Yuan once again crushed this layer of heart demon illusion. At the summit of a towering and majestic evolution tower, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his aura now as deep as the cosmic starry sky, and wherever his gaze landed, it was within the boundaries of his own territory. Great Supreme Being, under your leadership, human civilization has become an unprecedented force in the cosmic starry sky, and clans like the insect race have submitted one after another, said an elder below, his voice filled with deep worship. Becoming a supreme being, leading human civilization to its peak, is something every human evolver desires to accomplish. At this moment, Lin Yuan was enduring the worship of countless humans, looking down from on high, like a deity. Too bad, it's all fake, Lin Yuan sighed. The scenes in all directions began to collapse, taking with them the invincible power that filled Lin Yuan's body as well. Atop a high mountain, Lin Yuan silently opened his eyes. The heart demon tribulation has ended. Lin Yuan's gaze was profound, as if he had broken through some kind of shackles, and his spiritual realm suddenly began to sublimate. My current realm has reached the 8th layer. There are 3 prerequisites to becoming an 8th layer evolver. One is the heart demon tribulation, the second is the inner world, and the third is the physical soul reaching the pinnacle of perfection. Without transcending the heart demon tribulation, one will always be just a 7th layer at its pinnacle. Even if both the inner world and physical soul meet the requirements, it is useless. Because the realm cannot be elevated. Only after passing through the heart demon tribulation is it possible to ascend smoothly to the 8th layer in terms of realm. After that, if the inner world is opened and the physical soul reaches perfection, one can formally step into the 8th layer. End the traversal. Lin Yuan glanced at the remaining residence time. 5 years were left. The countless layers of heart demon illusions Lin Yuan experienced in the heart demon tribulation were but an instant in reality. As for the remaining 5 years of traversing worlds, there was no need to spend them here. The most important thing for Lin Yuan now was to fully step into the 8th layer. On the Chikuan main star, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Rustle. A large amount of red spirit fluid appeared in front of him. Years ago, Lin Yuan began preparing for his ascent to the 8th layer, and of course, he hadn't forgotten the red spirit fluid. Breakthrough. Lin Yuan closed his eyes. Booming. First came the expansion of the inner world, which began to expand wildly once more. The inner world, originally 13,000 li in radius, suddenly surged to a radius of 25,000 li. The explosive expansion of the inner world didn't cause much commotion. Previously, when Lin Yuan expanded his inner world from 10 plus li to a radius of 12,000 li, a 10,000-fold increase, Lin Yuan could not control it perfectly, so he asked the Chikuan Star Lord for help in concealing it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 4:10 But now, expanding from a radius of 13,000 miles to 25,000 miles, although the increase surpassed the former, the base was much stronger. Lin Yuan was fully capable of containing it himself. The Crimson Palace. Qikuan Star-Lord was instructing the Great Peak Master. On the verge of advancing to the 8th layer, the Great Peak Master was about to oversee the star domain. As his teacher, Qikuan Star-Lord would naturally bestow upon him some trumps for later use. "Teacher, rest assured, I will be cautious," he said. The Great Peak Master nodded, knowing that Qikuan Star-Lord was looking after him. "I wonder, among my disciples, who will be the next to break through to the 8th layer?" Qikuan Star-Lord sighed with a hint of emotion. "The second disciple? The third disciple? Or the junior disciple?" The Great Peak Master ventured a guess. Among the students of the Qikuan Star-Lord, only these 3 were at the 7th rank. "Who do you think it will be?" Qikuan Star-Lord asked with interest. "In terms of talent, the junior disciple is definitely the strongest. However, to step into the 8th layer, spirit will is very important, requiring the accumulation of many years. The second disciple has almost accumulated enough. Once he advances to the king level, he should be able to attempt to open his inner world and then surge to the 8th layer," the Great Peak Master analyzed calmly. It wasn't that he underestimated the junior disciple, but the enhancement of the spirit will index indeed required a lot of time. How old was the junior disciple? Not even 100 years old yet. What you say makes sense. Upon hearing this, Qikuan Star-Lord contemplated for a while and then nodded in agreement. Only, Qikuan Star-Lord had yet to finish speaking. He seemed to sense something. He looked in a certain direction, full of astonishment. "Has someone broken through to the 8th layer?" The Great Peak Master also sensed it and looked towards the source of the breakthrough. Although Lin Yuan could conceal the disturbances caused by the expansion of his inner world, the breakthrough from the 7th rank to the 8th rank itself, involving fluctuations of the origin rule, could not be concealed. The junior disciple. The Great Peak Master widened his eyes. The source of the breakthrough was at the 13 peaks. Currently, on the 13 peaks, only the junior disciple had the capacity to break through to the 8th layer. As for those 7th rank guards, if these guards were about to break through to the 8th layer, they would definitely report to the Star-Lord in advance. Damn, the big brother gaped, having only just analyzed with his teacher who the next ordinary 8th rank disciple would be, and now the junior disciple had immediately broken through to the 8th layer. That wasn't the point. The point was, how old was the junior disciple? He got to the 7th rank not long ago, and now the 8th. This disciple of mine, Qikuan Star-Lord, was also lost in a whirl of thoughts. The Great Peak Master thought the next to enter the 8th layer would be the second Peak Master, but he didn't agree. Compared to the Great Peak Master, Qikuan Star-Lord was aware of Lin Yuan's cultivation progress and his nearly 8th layer peak inner world. With such a vast inner world, Lin Yuan's physical soul and mental will would strengthen slowly, until close to the peak of the 8th layer. Here, the 8th layer peak referred to the peak of the physical soul, though the realm would still be at the 7th rank. But in Qikuan Star-Lord's view, even if Lin Yuan were to enter the 8th layer, it was a matter for decades or even centuries later. And now he had just achieved that. Meanwhile, the stir caused by Lin Yuan's breakthrough to the 8th layer was massive and began to affect the entire Qikuan main star. Not long ago, when Big Brother broke through to the 8th layer, Lin Yuan sensed it from a great distance, as from the 7th to the 8th layer would cause a fluctuation of the origin rule, making it difficult to conceal. Almost instantly, numerous 6th rank and 7th rank evolvers on Qikuan main star were stirred up. Has another Peak Master become an 8th layer? The Great Peak Master became the 8th layer not long ago, and now another Peak Master follows closely behind. Our Chikuan star domain, indeed, has been producing mighty figures recently. The countless evolvers on the Chikuan main star were all somewhat dumbfounded. That's odd. I met with the 2nd and 3rd Peak Masters not long ago. They were going out on a trip soon and should not be on Chikuan main star right now. Which means, among the Peak Masters present on the main star right now, only the 13th Peak Master is at the 7th rank. Could it be that the 13th Peak Master has broken through to the 8th layer? This guess left all evolvers somewhat bewildered. Any rational evolver could understand, the 13th Peak Master had only just announced stepping into the 7th rank. How could he possibly reach the 8th so swiftly? Do you really think cultivating is as easy as eating and drinking? Currently, only the Peak Master of Shursan is on the main star with conditions favorable for a breakthrough to the 8th layer, as the 2nd and the 3rd Peak Masters are not present. Perhaps those 7th rank king level guards also have the conditions to break through to the 8th layer, but if a king level guard were to break through, they would be sent by the Star Lord to a specialized breakthrough planet, certainly not on the main star. After considering all possibilities, only the Peak Master of Shursan meets the criteria. I have already contacted the 2nd and 3rd Peak Masters, and they are indeed not on the main star right now, said a 7th rank king level evolver. Upon these words being spoken, immediately, turmoil erupted. Because this meant that the evolver currently transitioning to the 8th layer could only be the Peak Master of Shursan. If not the Peak Master of Shursan, could it be those who are merely 6th layer Peak Masters? The breakthrough is progressing smoothly. He has now completely entered the 8th layer. The 7th rank evolvers carefully sensed that the breakthrough from the 7th to the 8th layer could face several potential difficulties, such as not overcoming the heart demon tribulation or not opening up an inner world. Any of these potential failures would cause the signs of a breakthrough to abruptly stop. But now, the breakthrough aura they sensed was incredibly smooth, flowing like a stream without any pauses. If it truly is the Peak Master of Shursan stepping into the 8th layer, then his potential is terrifying, they said. In the future, even if he cannot break through to the 9th rank, he will at least be as invincible in the 8th as the Star Lord. Even less experienced 7th rank evolvers could see that the future lower limit for the Peak Master of Shursan was to be invincible in the 8th layer like the Chikuan Star Lord. As for the upper limit, that was unclear. It might be the 9th or even the 10th rank. While countless evolvers on the main star were discussing and speculating, the news about yet another 8th rank evolver emerging from the Chikuan lineage began to spread like a hurricane in all directions. Especially since this newly advanced 8th rank evolver was likely the youngest Peak Master of Shursan, it incited almost frenzied intense discussions. Wanyang Star Domain. On the surface of a permanent star, a black-haired elder appeared. Your Highness, Your Highness. The black-haired elder began to call out. Almost 10 years ago, the Wanyang Holy Son had made up his mind, risking his life to train inside the core of a permanent star. Because only by doing so could he fully leverage his innate potential to advance to the 7th rank as quickly as possible, and catch up with the Peak Master of Shursan from the Chikuan lineage. How proud was the Wanyang Holy Son! Suffering successive setbacks from the Peak Master of Shursan, his heart was nearly overflowing with dejection. At the call of the black-haired elder, a fiery red crystal stone flew out from deep within the star. The crystal stone hovered before the black-haired elder, beginning to melt, and the Wanyang Holy Son stepped out from it. What exactly is it? He asked. Didn't I say not to disturb me unless it was a matter of utmost importance? The Wanyang Holy Son frowned deeply. He had planned to continue his seclusion for 200 years. Yet now, less than 10 years in, he was called out, which greatly displeased him. Your Highness, this is very good news, tremendously good news, the black-haired elder said with a smile, quickly mentioning the incident involving a part of a Supreme Being's body from outside the main world. A body of a Supreme Being. Available for us to comprehend, and as long as we understand the supreme evolution path, we have a chance to become a supreme being. The Wanyang Holy Sun's eyes burnt with a flickering flame. If this were true, then comprehending that part of the body would be better than secluding himself within the star. A body of a supreme being, I do not expect to understand the supreme evolution path, but just understanding 1 in a billionth of its mysteries should help me ascend to the 7th rank, he said. The Wanyang Holy Sun's heart was ablaze. According to his estimate, staying secluded within the star and facing near-death experiences would allow him to foreseeably reach the 7th rank in 200 years. However, by studying the body of a supreme being, perhaps he could reach the 7th rank in just 100 years. In only 100 years, how far could the peak master of Shursan advance at the 7th layer? He would have more hope of catching up. By then, the Wanyang Holy Sun was excited, knowing that once he reached the 7th rank, being in the same great realm as the peak master of Shursan and relying on his 9-yang divine meridian physique, he guessed he wouldn't be too far behind. Just as the Wanyang Holy Sun was filled with hope and about to eagerly apply to study that part of the body, the black-haired elder's expression subtly changed. His consciousness was continuously connected to the virtual world, ensuring he could be aware of any latest information. Your Highness, the black-haired elder delicately glanced at the ambitious Wanyang Holy Sun and whispered, "There's some bad news, bad news." The Wanyang Holy Sun glanced at the black-haired elder, indifferently asking, "What bad news?" "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 411, If you have something to say, just say it. Seeing the black-haired elder hem and haw, Wanyang Holy Sun did not blame him. Now that he saw hope in catching up with the 13 Peaks Peak Master, comprehending a part of a supreme being's body would definitely stir his emotions. Then, with the support of his own 9-yang divine meridian, stepping into the 7th rank within a century was no joke. As for the 8th layer that came after the 7th rank, Wanyang Holy Sun had yet to consider it, as the 8th layer was still too far away for him. Mental will index, inner world, flesh soul perfection, etc., none was yet fulfilled. Currently, Wanyang Holy Sun's gaze was entirely focused on the 7th rank. As long as he could step into the 7th rank, he would have narrowed the gap with the 13 Peaks Peak Master. Rest assured, there's no bad news right now that can shake my spirit. Seeing the black-haired elder still hesitating, Wanyang Holy Sun spoke calmly. With newfound hope, Wanyang Holy Sun felt his spirit will had also improved. The so-called living through long years and tempering one's spirit will is essentially experiencing great ups and downs. Life and death crises are the same. Upon hearing that the 13 Peaks Peak Master had stepped into the 7th rank, Wanyang Holy Sun once fell into despair and even risked his life to cultivate in seclusion within a star. This was the fall. And now, having learned that there was a supreme being's body to comprehend, the possibility of catching up with the 13 Peaks Peak Master in the future was the rise. Great falls and great rises are just that. It's bad news related to the 13 Peaks Peak Master, the black-haired elder said tentatively, knowing how much Wanyang Holy Sun longed to catch up with the 13 Peaks Peak Master. But the news he had just received, to Wanyang Holy Sun, was perhaps too cruel. The 13 Peaks Peak Master. Wanyang Holy Sun's expression became slightly more solemn. Bad news related to the 13 Peaks Peak Master? Could it be that the adversary has already stepped into the peak of the 7th rank king level? That really isn't good news. In such a short time, to progress from the early stage of the 7th rank to the king level peak, befitting of the 13 Peaks Peak Master he was chasing after. At this rate, 100 years later, wouldn't the 13 Peaks Peak Master have the hope to step into the 7th rank marquee level? By then, even if everything goes smoothly for him, he would only be at the beginning of the 7th rank. The gap between him and the 13 Peaks Peak Master would still be considerable. At the thought, Wanyang Holy's son couldn't help feeling the pressure. I've received a message, the 13 Peaks Peak Master, he seems to have stepped into the 8th layer. The black-haired elder mustered up his courage to convey the news he had just received. Even if he didn't mention it, as long as Wanyang Holy's son connected to the virtual network, he would still find out. The 13 Peaks Peak Master stepped into the 8th layer. What did you say? Stepped into which layer? Wanyang Holy's son, still mulling over how he was going to advance swiftly towards the 7th rank marquee level 100 years later, almost thought he was hallucinating when he heard the black-haired elder's words. The 8th layer. The 13 Peaks Peak Master stepped into the 8th layer. Wanyang Holy's son's mind was muddled. It wasn't until the black-haired elder repeated himself several times that Wanyang Holy's son barely recovered. Where did this news come from? Enjoy new adventures from Empire. Wanyang Holy's son's first reaction was disbelief. The transition from 7th to 8th rank is a major bottleneck. If the 13 Peaks Peak Master had already been at the 7th rank king level peak before he entered seclusion, it would be normal now to have broken through to the 8th layer. But it's well known that the 13 Peaks Peak Master just stepped into the 7th rank not long ago. To cross these 3 great thresholds, spirit will, inner world, flesh soul perfection, in such a short time. Is this still human? Is this still human? Your Highness, this news was transmitted from the Chikuan main star. A fluctuation of aura that signals a breakthrough from the 7th rank to the 8th layer was detected on the central continent of the main star, and only the 13 Peaks Peak Master fits the conditions for this breakthrough from the 7th rank to the 8th layer. The black-haired elder spoke truthfully. In that case, could it be a mistaken transmission? Wanyang Holy's son immediately asked. He truly did not want to believe that the 13 Peaks Peak Master had already stepped into the 8th layer. That made his previous life-risking seclusion seem laughably foolish. Still chasing the 13 Peaks Peak Master? With what will he chase him? There is indeed a possibility of a mistaken transmission. The black-haired elder thought for a moment and then nodded. Your Highness, if the 13 Peaks Peak Master has truly broken through to the 8th layer, the Red Kuan lineage will soon issue a public announcement, and by then everything will be clear, he said. Then let's wait. Wanyang Holy's son fell silent for a while and then spoke. Okay. We wait. The black-haired elder nodded. Chikuan main star. 13 Peaks. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. At this moment, his aura was incredibly profound, like a celestial body, beginning to influence the surroundings. An evolver at the 8th layer, whose physical soul had undergone ultimate metamorphosis and with an inner world unfolded, if one didn't contain their aura, indeed, there was little difference between them and the cosmic celestial bodies. Is this the 8th layer? Lin Yuan carefully felt the brand new power within him. Although at the 7th rank, with his vast inner world, Lin Yuan could crush most of those at the 8th layer, that was merely suppression of power, but the subtleties of the realm, Lin Yuan was now experiencing. The greatest trump card of an 8th layer evolver is the inner world, but that's not to say that 8th layer evolvers possess only inner world techniques. The cultivation at the 8th layer mainly divides into 4 stages: the early stage, the middle stage, the late stage, and the peak stage. Lin Yuan clearly knew how the road ahead should be traversed. In fact, the 8th layer has a 5th stage. That is the invincible state of the 8th layer. Essentially, the invincibly at the 8th layer still belongs to the 4th stage. The invincible evolvers at the 8th layer, such as the Chikuan Star Lord, Golden Dragon Star Master, Wanyang Star Lord, and others, have mastered some form of power that transcends the 8th layer. With this power, the invincible ones can crush all 8th layer evolvers. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chikuin Star-Lord glanced at the Great Peak Master but said nothing. Sure, Eweb novel. Calm Lin Yuan nodded. Speaking of it, he had established his inner world at the peak of the 6th rank, on the verge of breaking into the 7th rank, but he had yet to exchange blows with other 8th layer evolvers. Now with his senior brother taking the initiative to spar, Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't refuse. Junior brother, you should be careful, although I also stepped into the 8th layer not long ago, after all, I have been familiar with it for some time. The senior brother reminded, understanding that perhaps this was his last chance to be on equal footing with his junior. After some time, with the junior brother's talent and capability, he would surely be left far behind. Rumble rumble. The Great Peak Master stirred slightly, the invisible force of the world enveloping around, the terrifying world force, even when suppressed and converged, could easily crush 6th and 7th rank evolvers. Ha! As the Great Peak Master stirred the power of his world, covering Lin Yuan, he felt as though he was covering a black hole. Rumble rumble. A force far surpassing the Great Peak Master's world strength erupted centered around Lin Yuan, spreading in all directions. Me. The Great Peak Master's face changed, he felt this power limitless, his own world power was completely overwhelmed. The two weren't even on the same level. Stop, stop, stop. The Great Peak Master quickly shouted. This kind of world power. The Great Peak Master could hardly believe it. He recognized that the force crushing his world power was also the power of the world, but much stronger than his. Even though it didn't have the pressure brought by Chikuin Star-Lord, it was far superior to other 8th layer evolvers. Junior brother, just how profound is your inner world? His senior brother swallowed, knowing that the strength of the world power depended on the foundation of the inner world. Lin Yuan's world power being much stronger than his only demonstrated that his own inner world was far inferior. But wasn't Lin Yuan a recent breakthrough? The Great Peak Master was puzzled for a moment. It can only be attributed to being the junior apprentice brother indeed. Alright, your junior apprentice brother has already held back with all his might, the Chikuin Star-Lord said, shaking his head. Having not yet stepped into the 8th layer, Lin Yuan's inner world spanned more than 100,000 miles. Now, it has at least doubled. Competing with a Great Peak Master, whose inner world was less than 200 miles, if Lin Yuan had not held back, the latter would have been suppressed instantly. Held back with all his might? Is there such a thing as holding back with all one's might? Great Peak Master muttered in his heart, but knowing the teacher would not deceive him, realized that even though his own junior brother had just advanced to the 8th layer, his strength had already surpassed his own. Alright, my good disciple, for now familiarize yourself with the realm of the 8th layer, and we will discuss the rest later, the Chikuin Star-Lord advised. Also, I will have someone announce your advancement to the 8th layer, the Chikuin Star-Lord stated. Mainly those old friends, who kept sending messages to confirm whether it was indeed Shir-san, the Peak Master, who had advanced to the 8th layer. Thank you, teacher, Lin Yuan said, nodding. The news of Lin Yuan stepping into the 8th layer was quickly confirmed through an announcement released by the Red Kun lineage. Mainly because there was no need to hide it anymore. As one of the strongest among the Peak clans, human civilization possessed the Resurrection card. When advancing from the 5th to the 6th rank, the life essence isn't strong enough, hence the need for secrecy arises, since even the most talented 5th rank evolvers do not meet the resurrection criteria. If they died, they truly died. But for the 8th layer, not to mention the enormous cost a different species would need to pay to assassinate an 8th layer member, since most human civilizations' 8th layer evolvers possess the doppelganger skill. Even if the assassination were successful, a supreme being would resurrect them. Resurrecting an 8th layer individual is not a significant drain for a supreme being. Of course, for supreme beings, even the smallest drain is considered significant by lower evolvers. Those talented individuals from strong clans need to be cautious because their clans do not have supreme beings. If they need resurrection, they must seek help from Peak clans. Whether or not the Supreme Being from a peak clan is willing to resurrect someone is another matter altogether. The Red Kun lineage has issued the announcement. It is indeed the Shursan Peak Master who advanced to the 8th layer. My God, how old is Shursan Peak Master to be at the 8th layer already? When I was as old as Shursan Peak Master, I was still playing at the 1st or 2nd layer. Star alliances were shaken, and while some had doubted the possibility of some mix-up, without the Red Kun lineage's announcement, it couldn't be certain that it was Shursan Peak Master who had advanced. But now, it's pretty much confirmed. Wanyang Star Domain. The Wanyang Holy Sun was closely monitoring the activities of the Red Kun lineage. Almost immediately upon the release of the announcement, he was informed. Is it truly Shursan Peak Master who has stepped into the 8th layer? The Wanyang Holy Sun thought to himself silently. In fact, during the waiting period, he had almost accepted it. Seeing the announcement merely brought relief. Your Highness, are you all right? Chapter 413. Feng Yu sat quietly, reading the announcement over and over again. The Peak Master of Shursan has stepped into the 8th layer. Feng Yu's mind kept flashing with this information, and his heart felt increasingly suffocated. Thinking back to when he had refused the invitation of the Peak Master of Shursan, Feng Yu faintly felt a certain choking sensation. If the Peak Master of Shursan had never invited him to join the 13 Peaks, Feng Yu would not have this feeling. Of so many challengers, only 2 had caught the eye of the Peak Master in the end. But he had clearly been one of the chosen by the Peak Master of Shursan, too. If he had not refused at that time, then now he would probably also be a disciple of the Peak Master of Shursan. My choice at that time, given the situation then, was not wrong. Feng Yu steadied his spirit, and his mind began to replay incessantly. During the test in 7-Star Cave, the Peak Master of Shursan was only at 7th rank, while the Great Peak Master was already at 8th layer. Even if the Peak Master of Shursan held the hope of stepping into the 8th layer, it was just that, hope. To abandon a vague hope and choose the more practical Great Peak Master was not a mistake. Who would have thought that the Peak Master of Shursan would step into the 8th layer so quickly? Feng Yu sighed. It wasn't just him. Across the entire Chikuan Star Domain, the entire Anand Star Alliance, who would have thought the Peak Master of Shursan could have broken through so quickly? No, that's not right. I should have been able to foresee this. Didn't Emoli foresee it? Feng Yu muttered to himself. Emoli is a churd, and I still remember the look of surprise on his face when he learned I had chosen the Great Peak Master over the Peak Master of Shursan. Emoli knew right from the start that the Peak Master of Shursan had boundless potential. Feng Yu looked up at the sky. But Emoli came from a 7th rank force. Even if he made the wrong choice, it wouldn't have much of an impact. I couldn't be sure. My clan needed me to make the most advantageous choice as quickly as possible. And at that time, the best choice for me was the Great Peak Master. Feng Yu shook his head. Alas, there is no such opportunity anymore. Feng Yu's mood fell. He understood that he had missed the most important opportunity of his life. That was to join under the banner of the Peak Master of Shursan. Even Feng Yu realized that the Peak Master of Shursan being able to step into the 8th layer before the age of 100 suggested that his future achievements could indeed be said to be boundless. The 13 Peaks. Emoli and Wulan were utterly baffled. The Peak Master has stepped into the 8th layer, Freeweb novel. Calm, so quickly. Chapter 415. The Gift from the Supreme Being. Subscription requested. A Supreme Being wishes to see me. Lin Yuan felt waves stirring in his spirit, as supreme beings were the towering pillars of human civilization. Today, human civilization could sweep across the myriad clans, led by 3 goddesses and supported by 9 supreme beings' pinnacle combat powers. Without supreme beings, human civilization simply couldn't counter the insect race's sea of bugs army. Yes, the supreme being who wishes to see you is named Xia Qin, answered the goddess of wisdom. Xia Qin supreme being, Lin Yuan's thoughts scattered. Xia Qin supreme being was the 3rd supreme being of human civilization, stationed in the evolution tower within the northeastern region of the human civilization territory, facing 2 peak clans alone. How will I see him? Lin Yuan asked. You can meet in the virtual world, replied the goddess of wisdom, her voice solemn and cold. Understood. Lin Yuan nodded. It was within Lin Yuan's expectations that a supreme being wished to see him. As Lin Yuan's strength continually improved, it was bound to attract the attention of a supreme being. Below the 8th layer, 6th and 7th rank were not even noticed by supreme beings, but reaching the 8th layer, that already constituted high-end combat power of human civilization. And Lin Yuan's age upon entering the 8th layer was exceedingly young, under 100 years old, to be precise, just over 30. Even if supreme beings were not yet paying attention to Lin Yuan, once he became an invincible 8th layer and entered the 9th rank, he still would need to meet a supreme being. A mysterious virtual world. Lin Yuan's form appeared as he looked around. In the distance, a towering man stood. To call him towering was actually an understatement as he was only 3 meters tall, but to Lin Yuan, he felt immensely towering, far surpassing tens of thousands of stars combined. Supreme being, Lin Yuan scrutinized the towering man, feeling his soul tremble. On this towering man, it seemed as though he saw the vast cosmic starry sky, an endless operation of the origin source. Space rules. Rule of time. No, it's the space-time rule formed after the fusion of space rules and rule of time. And the rule of life, rule of cause and effect, too many. Although Lin Yuan stiffly tried to comprehend with his against heaven's understanding, he found it barely effective. The gap between them was too vast. Lin Yuan was able to understand the paths of the evolution contained in that segment of the body because the other party had completely perished. And his supreme being had paid a price to forcibly reveal the mysteries contained within that segment of the body. Additionally, because of the isolation by the virtual world, that allowed 7th rank evolvers among humans to comprehend it.